What is going on, everybody? It is episode 291 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name's Brett. I am here on this beautiful Friday with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. Serge is not in the studio today because he is getting a haircut. He listened to you guys. He is going to shave his head bald because you got to a certain number of Crisis parties yesterday. So instead, we've got a special guest with us today from Bounding Into Comics.
Introduce yourself.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, my name's John Trent. I'm the editor-in-chief at Bounding Into Comics. I'm just wondering, how long does it take to cut his hair? Does he have a lot of hair?
He has a lot of hair.
There's a lot, so it'll be an all-day project, but you have to listen to what the viewers want.
Yes. We do that here. We do. At one time, we got 30 Crisis parties. You don't know what a Crisis party is yet, but you will find out eventually. Okay. And I had to dye my hair blonde.
Oh, no.
To dye my hair blonde. It was blonde.
I bleached it myself.
She did.
Oh my gosh, no.
Isn't that crazy?
No, I wouldn't. I'm not doing that.
Hey, I actually felt the same way. I was like, I'm not going to lower myself to this, but you know what? The fans asked.
Was that part of the paperwork that I signed?
The Surge impersonator.
You do not.
I gotta listen to the Crisis parties here?
We would love for you to listen to the fans, but it's not in the contract. No, you don't have to.
The Surge imposter is in the chat saying, I'm not getting a haircut. You're not even Surge.
Yes.
We don't believe you, sir.
Who is Surge, anyways? We don't even know. Who is Surge? We got a bunch of stuff to talk about today, guys. Velma, the popularity of the show has spiked. There are consequences, ladies and gentlemen, to choosing to hate watch something. It is not always going to be good for you to do that. We're also going to talk about Julia Fox. She's a dreadful, dreadful human being. Mary's.
Nothing new there.
Do you got a lot to say about that? I feel like you'd have a lot to say about that, right?
I do.
Yeah. Julia Fox is a horrible person. We're also going to talk about Marvel and Star Wars proving once again that Disney doesn't know what they're doing. They didn't even make it to the top of any of the streaming charts this year, or in 2022, which is really bonkers when you think about the ongoing popularity of Marvel movies and the former popularity of Star Wars movies. It's kind of crazy. Also, me and John, I think, have strong opinions on what's going to happen with Daredevil Born Again based on the writer's room.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I have no interest in watching that show whatsoever.
But we're gonna see though. We'll go through this article. We're gonna talk about that. Also, we're gonna talk just a little bit at the end. I want to see if anybody here cares about Reset Era. Does anybody really care about Reset Era and the fact that Hogwarts Legacy has been banned?
Reset Era is only good when they actually get leaks.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they're just like a cesspool of leftists.
This is the first I've even heard of Reset Era. So.
Yeah, it's a thing. It's a thing. So we're going to talk about all that, but before we get started, we have Cringe of the Day, do we not, Mary?
We do. I like this one. It's actually a two-parter, though. Are we starting with Splash Mountain?
Splash Mountain.
All right, so we found out that there are crazy people selling water from the original Splash Mountain that is now shut down on eBay.
Or at least claiming, right? Claiming that.
Well, they're claiming it's the water. There's no way to really prove it, right?
Yeah.
So the most expensive I saw here was someone is selling like 4 ounces in a mason jar for $150. And Disney stands are actually crazy enough, I wouldn't put it past them to buy it.
Yeah.
I mean, there was that woman who was like selling her bathwater, right? Like,
Belle Delphine. And yes,
yeah.
The Disney Belle Delphine collab needs to happen. It'll just be Splash Mountain with bathwater.
She could be the next Belle.
1 million gallons of Belle Delphine bathwater will be needed for the new ride. So yeah, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, canceled. Belle Delphine's Adventure, this is happening. It's real.
I think Splash Mountain is still up in like one of the other parks.
Yeah, the Disneyland.
In like
park?
Asia or something.
I think there's one in the California one. It still has Splash Mountain, but they're going to shut that one down as well.
Because it's racist.
So how do you know you're getting the water from the one in Florida?
Is there a test?
Like, what's the authentic water? How do you test it?
I was
thinking, like, what if there are brain-eating amoeba in there?
You have to have like a video of you like taking the water out of the park to like
you have to
authenticate it.
To verify.
Yeah.
To verify. It's actually scooping it, putting the lid on it, signing it.
Yeah.
For science.
And then getting some type of like certificate of authenticity for it, maybe.
Signed
they
by
could do
Mickey
that.
Mouse, right?
I still think that the idea of replacing it with Tiana's Bayou Adventure doesn't make any sense because it's a waterfall and you're talking about a bayou.
Yeah.
Like, they just didn't think this one
There's
through.
no waterfall in that film, if I recall.
No,
Yeah.
it's the swamplands.
Yeah.
That's why there would be a frog there.
Right.
You're
and
also
the
putting
alligator.
more thought into it, I think, than they are.
I mean, their thought was,
Well, they put a lot of thought
it's
into
2020,
it.
it's the summer of love, and we have to make some kind of artificial stance in solidarity with BLM.
Yes.
So we're going to announce the shutdown of it.
There's a lot of thought behind that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Their thought was fear.
All right, but we don't just have that. We have a continuation. So the other day, when Mary was gone, I think, but I posted the video of the lady who goes through her day at work at Google, and then it ends with a very abrupt turn of events in which you find out that she's no longer working at Google. She has, in fact,
She got
been
laid
fired.
off at the end of her day in the life.
So
and this is her follow-up video of
I don't think
her
this is the
day in
same
the
person.
life
This could be a different
being
person.
laid off from Google. Or maybe she was in the same group of people that got laid off.
Yeah, maybe they were like layoff buddies, and they hang out together now. So let's
Drink their sorrows away.
Let's watch this. We can see it on that monitor over here.
A day in my life getting laid off at Google. So I woke up to this really ominous text from my boss, and I honestly had no idea what it was going to be about. So I called her the minute I woke up and saw this, and she told me to check the news and my email. So I rushed downstairs to find out that I had lost access to basically everything. I couldn't log into my email or even check my calendar. I called my boss back, and we just sobbed over the phone because she was also finding out about my layoff for the first time today too. I started getting calls from a bunch of my coworkers
Is
and
it the same
started
girl?
finding
Not
out
the
who
same
else
girl.
was let go on my team and some neighboring teams as well.
Could have been
I
on
think
one of the
worst
teams.
part is that it seems like no one was consulted on this decision, and everyone was just finding out about the layoffs at the same time. It just felt like a really bad game of Russian roulette, and there was no consistency around who was let go. It was also not performance based, so it just felt really random. I opened up LinkedIn, which honestly was not great for my mental health. There were so many people who were in the same boat that were both equally as shocked and blindsided, but it did help me feel a little less alone. Honestly, I spent so much of the day crying that I just felt so tired from being sad and wanted to do something that would just make me feel better. Luckily, I have an annual pass, so I headed over to Disneyland because I wanted to go eat my feelings. So I started off with a cinnamon galaxy churro and then went to the teriyaki turkey leg. This is a special limited edition item for the Lunar New Year celebration at Disney California Adventure. I had some Rice Krispie, a corn dog.
Average Disney adult with an email job that overpays them.
Yes.
Next for me,
By,
but I'll be
like,
vlogging
at
my
least
journey
6
and posting
figures.
more content about it, so feel free to follow along.
I mean,
Just
if she's smart, she'll pivot and become a Disney blogger.
She'll be a
Maybe.
Disney influencer
Yeah.
that gets in for free.
Yeah, well, she said she's got an only like a yearly pass,
Yeah.
so she can start her career now and just start making her videos. Also, notice how it doesn't matter like what time of the day it always becomes about food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They love to post.
Dude, restaurants, dude. I found this hole in the wall restaurant. Dude, it's so epic living in the city.
This is why comics have been ruined. because
ultimate
now we
cope.
have to see stuff about people
Cope.
eating food in comics because women with email jobs like to talk about food 24/7.
I don't know. I like food too, so I'm not like against talking about food. I mean, I really did like the shawarma scene in the first Avengers, right? At the end. Nice.
The one that bothered me was in Hawkeye when they did the macaroni scene. Did you watch Hawkeye?
I did not.
What was the scene?
It was with Yelena and what's her name, Kate and Kate.
Yeah, Kate.
And they have this scene where like Yelena makes macaroni. He finally got to experience it. Yes, guys. Scare John with your with the money guns, if you will. You can scare John with the money guns.
Fires pretty far.
Yeah, that was actually pretty weak. It's actually
it
gonna
was?
it's gonna get better. So it's gonna be awesome.
Am I supposed to pick these up? And
No, it
afterwards?
is not your
Okay.
responsibility. So yeah, like they do the thing where it's like, but it was very clearly inspired by modern Marvel, which is like half the scenes are of people eating, and I hate that.
I think they see the success of manga and anime, and if you've watched any manga or anime, there's obviously there's like big scenes where like Goku like is always eating his food and stuff like that, and that's incorporated into a lot of the video games too. And they see that, and then they just try and westernize it, and it doesn't like capture the spirit of what those scenes are all about.
Nope.
The
These
shawarma
people-
scene did. I like the shawarma scene though.
Shawarma.
That actually did a good. That was a good. I like that scene.
I think now at this point, I've seen the superhero cafes of that more than I've seen the actual movies.
Oh, really?
I love the superhero cafes of all of the original Avengers stuff and all of the Batman and Superman superhero
Like themed cafes.
Like I'm talking like the things from It's the actual scenes where it's like Batman and Superman in a cafe eating the cartoon.
I thought you said
she's
you
from over there,
disliked
too.
when they overdo in these Marvel series scenes where they're just in a diner for some reason.
The ones I'm talking about are cartoons that are jokes. They're not actual scenes from movies. It's like a cartoon.
So it only
parody.
bothers you if it's live action.
It only bothers me if it's serious. I'm watching a parody of Superman and Batman at a diner eating, and there's the one. It's Superhero Cafe, and
Superman and Batman aren't eating together.
Yeah, this is from how it should have ended.
Okay.
So in the one, it's like Superman's like, this iPhone is great, and he's like liking stuff on on his iPhone, and Batman's got his Bat phone, which doesn't do really anything because it's a Bat phone, and he's like I just call Siri, and Superman's like, I just call Siri, and Siri tells me what I need to know, and Batman goes, I don't have that, and he goes calls Alfred, who then calls Siri on his iPhone from like the other end of the line. That stuff was great. All right, guys, now that we've sufficiently I feel kind of bad at first doing that because I want to laugh at a lady losing her job. Like once she started talking about food, I'm like, you couldn't even go one day without spending any money. How much money do you have? I'm not spending money at Disney if I've just lost my job.
No, but this is what these city dwellers are obsessed with. They like the food porn videos where you like cut open a fried mozzarella stick or something and like pull it apart on camera, stuff like that. Like they're obsessed with posting everything instead of actually just living their lives.
It is weird. Is that a fundamental difference between men and women? Like, men are less likely to post stuff with their friends on social media than women are, or even like, have you heard you think of the idea that people have of the happiest couples are the people that don't post a bunch of themselves together on social media, and the people who are posting a lot of themselves on social media tend to be kind of putting up a facade.
If everything you post on social media is like 1 month with this cutie, 2 months with this cutie, I've had the most amazing experience of my life with him. Or I had a friend who, I'm kind of going off track, but I had a friend in school who posted a 1 week anniversary with his new girlfriend.
1 week?
And and he was like, I spent an amazing night with her tonight. And I was like, you've known her for like a week. And then I commented, I'm tired of pretending that this is normal when people liked my comment.
Of course you commented that. You can't just
I'm
let
a horrible person. I just shat on his happiness.
You can't even let the dude have the honeymoon phase. You just have to interrupt.
Well, they broke up. So my
probably
prediction
because you
was
said
true.
that.
It was all my fault.
Was it two?
Right.
Was it at week 2 they broke up?
No, actually it lasted for a few months, but
It's probably because of your comment. She
people
read
just
that
post
comment.
too much.
Yeah. So look, also 6-month anniversary is weird.
Any month anniversary, honestly, is kind of weird.
Yes.
Any number of months.
All right, guys, we are moving on. We're going to get started right away. Velma popularity spikes by 127% despite overwhelmingly negative reviews.
Guess who you can blame for this?
Us! It's
We
us!
are the problem!
We're the bad
Let's
guys!
go!
Oh, actually, let's see. What is
I didn't watch it, so
Yes,
I'm
it's
not
our
taking
fault.
any
Okay,
blame.
blame Brett and I, not John. Okay,
It's our fault.
we are the problem. It's our fault. Come at me. I hate watch Velma, but I do believe we get a special pass.
because we're reviewing it.
We're reviewing it.
So you're not really
Obviously,
hate
our
watching.
job.
Yeah.
We're not hate watching just to hate watch out of like a morbid curiosity. And I've seen some people comment like, because you are reviewing this, I get to listen to your opinions about it instead of forcing myself to look at it.
So the show has a 37.3% higher viewership than an average HBO Max series. Another thing that they don't point out in this article very suspiciously is HBO Max very conveniently got rid of most of their animated movies and shows like right before this came out. So they're going to starve
They're
you for
trimming the
content
fat.
and then leave you with nothing but Velma to watch.
Do
they got rid
people
of-
really specifically seek out animated shows?
Yes.
Only?
Huge market.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about only, but and the funny thing is as far as DC animated, which is the only animated stuff that I watch, that's what I go to HBO.
You don't watch
Max.
any anime?
Nope.
That's the
Nope.
thing. Like,
Missing out.
No.
do you?
Yeah. I mean, I was Gundam Info. I've been watching the new Mobile Suit Gundam on YouTube when they let the episodes come up because they private them a lot.
Well, when it comes to Western animation that is geared toward adults at this point, it's just all trash.
There's actually some pretty good ones. Like Arcane was really good. The League of Legends series on Netflix.
I've heard Castlevania is really good.
Castlevania, I liked the first season of Castlevania, and I didn't like anything after that. But Castlevania is a different story. I mean, that's a Western with Japanese animation.
But even now, like even DC, like I love the old animated shows.
The old
I don't
animation's
watch any. Like I tried to watch the new Green Lantern one, and it's horrible. Which is funny because I love the actor.
Oh, the movie, you mean?
The Green Lantern animated movie.
Because the series is fantastic.
The movie. Like,
the movie's
I have a
good.
soft spot for the older movies too. Like
I turned it off.
And the shows. Like in the voice actor, they had Shamar Moore doing the voice acting for that. And Shamar Moore is a great like actual actor. He's not a voice actor by trade only. He does a lot of regular acting as well. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, most of the new DC animated stuff, I don't really like the animation at all, and it really like turns me off. Even stuff that like I actually like the stories from the comics. I can blank on it now, but there's this Batman set in like the 19th century, and they just
Gotham by Gaslight.
Yeah, Gotham
by Gaslight was good.
The story's actually really good, but I did not like the animation at all.
It was really brown and gray. Yeah. I got why they did that.
It also didn't feel dynamic. It felt very static. Like I don't know. I didn't like it. It didn't come onto the screen very well.
My actual favorite in recent years is Batman versus the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I haven't seen that. I read the comics.
That?
The comics are
years
fantastic.
ago.
I love the comics.
Yeah.
Really good. That's actually a really cool crossover.
It's a very
I didn't watch the
weird.
show, though.
It's a very weird thing to see what they did, but it works. It works really well.
The first thing I thought of was the Harley Quinn animated series.
People love that too. That's still
certain type of people like that.
Yes, I was saying, but that's
there's a lot of people that don't like that either.
But it's enough to get like a second season. And I think they're going into a third season.
Do you know if it was any good?
I mean, I don't like that type of humor, so that's my personal opinion.
Well, some people are saying that it's the same type of humor that is used in Velma.
I would say I haven't seen Velma, so I can't really comment on that. But it looks very similar. It looks like it's coming from like kind of that same point, like reference point. That's probably inaccurate.
I think that animation style is cringy, looks horrible.
It looks sleazy to me.
It's very low effort.
Yeah.
The other reason to question
it looks better than the Cal Arts stuff, though, at least.
Yeah.
I think the Harley Quinn animation is better than the Velma stuff from what I've seen on like trailers and everything.
I mean, when I think of adults watching Western cartoons, what comes to my mind is like BoJack Horseman, Rick and Morty,
Family Guy,
Simpsons. And like, but also Steven Universe,
South Park.
Steven Universe is like the start of a lot of the fandom crap.
That's the Cal Arts stuff. Yeah, that's horrible.
Okay, so the other thing about
ugly.
This article is that they use Parrot Analytics, which is dubious at best. They count social media engagement as like a metric for like popularity.
Well, that's definitely
that does not mean that
part
it got viewed. That does not mean it got viewed more. And I'll give you an example. I got a message earlier from a friend of mine who knows nothing about the culture war, knows nothing about any of this. All he sent me was a meme from Velma about how bad it is. He goes, "I know nothing about this except that everybody hates it." Yeah. That doesn't mean that it's popular, and it doesn't mean that he's going to go to HBO Max and watch it. It just means he shared a meme.
Right, and you have to define what popularity means. Yeah. Is it popular in the sense that it's actually like people like it, or is it popular in the sense that people like hate it and are ridiculing it? And then at the same time, I actually think a lot of these companies are moving away. You're seeing it in the Disney fight now with the investor who's trying to get on the board of Disney, and he's fighting against Iger. He wants to have Disney start focusing on profitability over everything else, and they're going to stop looking at these metrics like how it's doing on social media to determine whether or not that this product is actually generating revenue for them on the HBO Max.
They don't even understand social media enough to use it as a metric anyway. Like, would you say that demand for Morbius was determined by how many memes people were posting of it? No, people were trashing it through the memes.
Old people.
Were those memes actually generating revenue?
Yeah, like all of the viral content about Velma has been derogatory.
Right.
So that doesn't count as demand. But I am saying, like, if I were some kind of like SEO expert, then it would be maybe a metric by like how many people search where to watch Velma, right? Yeah. But other than that, if people are just posting memes or using it as a TikTok sound, that doesn't mean there's more demand for it.
Well, if I'm David Zaslav and I'm the head of Warner Brothers Discovery, I'm actually looking at what new subscribers are and what was the first thing they watched. Were they watching Velma? Then yeah, maybe that like we're generating revenue there. And then obviously you would look at views and potentially watch time to see like if people are coming back.
Yeah.
And then maybe looking at like, all right, how many have we lost from this?
But they're
previous
so
episode?
shady. They always hide these real numbers from us so that we can't
I mean,
talk about it honestly.
If you've been following anything with the comic book stuff, we actually used to have really good numbers on what the comic book publishers were selling to Diamond. So we knew what they were selling to the distributor. We didn't know retail sales, but since the pandemic, we have like absolutely no idea what any of the sales are anymore.
Yep.
It's basically just the guy who runs Comic-Con predicting it.
It's deliberate.
It's deliberate. They want to
hiding
hide that. But I mean, you still see it in their reports, though. You're seeing it in general reports where they're saying they're losing like $1.5 billion loss
But
in
even
a quarter.
then, they sugarcoat
Disney.
it for the investors, right?
Well, they try to, but I mean,
I don't
Disney
think
Plus is like, of course, a categorical loss.
But he's talking about comics, which are even bigger. Like they're an even smaller loss because it's such a write. It's a write off.
Wait, a
such a
bigger
tiny
loss
part
or
of
a
the
smaller
company.
loss?
It's a smaller.
It's a smaller loss in general because it's a tiny part of their business.
It's a rounding error
Yeah,
compared to the streaming service and stuff. It's always funny listening to Zach trash Heidi McDonald.
Oh yeah,
she's
with Comic Speed.
Yeah, like because Comic Speed is awful. And the thing is, they get away with all of this because the mainstream comics press runs cover for them. And they're like, it's fine. There's no problem here. So what if half of our creators have to do GoFundMe's to pay their rent?
Yeah, it's easier to corrupt and hijack a smaller niche part of an industry than the whole thing.
But I do think like you're seeing this come to fruit now. I mean, you're seeing this in Disney, you're seeing it in Warner Brothers. The like these activist investors like Zaslav, they're actually like they're focusing on profitability over stock price share now because the actual stockholders, like their investors, want to see the company start making money instead of just like constantly investing in something that might never actually turn a profit.
Yeah.
When was the last time they actually turned a profit? Like,
Is it realistic that Disney Plus will be profitable at some point?
I think
Or will they just keep reinvesting?
I think
and
Zaslav
reinvesting
said
into
2024 for HBO Max.
Yeah.
And that seems like a very, very big ask to me.
Well, that's also with him cutting a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, he's trying to get like $3.5 billion worth of cuts from the entire company. So, and I haven't heard anything from Disney about like trying to actually like cut costs. So,
I don't know, man.
Sorry, we're totally getting in the
I'm
weeds
thinking about
here.
Amazon
No, I like
Prime
it.
right now.
Yeah.
Like, is Amazon Prime to Amazon as a corporation the same thing as like the comic books division of
Yes,
Warner
it is.
Media?
Yeah. It's a
Like,
write-off.
That's exactly analogous. It's a
Yeah,
write-off.
'cause
So
their business
that's
is-
why they just throw shit at the wall over there at Amazon Prime.
yeah, their
They approve
business is
anything.
selling you goods through Amazon rather than
Yeah.
That's why they
and
have that
the-
That's why
horrible
they
Studio.
made Rings of Power.
But they also have
essentially.
MGM Studio now, which they're
Yep.
kind of spinning off. So we'll see what happens with that
I'm
because
so-
they bought MGM for what $8 billion or
I'm
something
still
like that.
every time I go, I don't use Amazon Prime as much as possible because I hate the player. I hate the UI.
It's pretty
absolutely
bad.
Not for
terrible.
ethical reasons.
Not
It's
for-
just difficult to use.
But more than
you're
anything,
like the player. I'm like, I thought you were making a reference to like
No, the
guy
actual
playing the
fast-
game,
the
and
actual
then you're
fast
talking about and then
forward.
you said UI. I was like, oh, okay, I'm on you now.
yeah.
and every time I go on there and all of the James Bond movies aren't down there, I just get angry.
Yeah.
Because you bought MGM, you own James Bond now. Essentially, you own the rights to the movies.
Right.
Like, put the movies on there.
So I actually think this is something that we're like Sony's doing. You see Paramount doing it. They're still licensing their films, which
Yeah.
Disney literally stopped doing. I think actually Warner Brothers is still doing it as well.
Well,
Disney's like the only one who literally pulled all of their movies, and you can only get them on Disney Plus now.
Yeah.
You
But
can get all the Lord of the Rings movies on Amazon, even though
Right.
that's owned by Warner Brothers.
Right, because they're licensing
Yeah.
it out.
Yep.
And it's the same, like Bullet Train is on Netflix, and
Yep.
that's a Sony, I think that's Sony. So they're still doing that, whereas like Disney cut off their nose to spite their face.
Yep.
And they put all their eggs in the Disney Plus basket, and we'll see what happens, but it's not looking good right now.
I don't like it, and I don't like Disney Plus.
But yeah, the Amazon UI sucks.
I
agree.
See,
Even the search function is terrible.
I've started a movement, ladies and gentlemen, down at the funny thing is too, because I want to start doing like, this is an idea here. So for the chat, one thing I want to consider doing, I just tested the function last night. I want to maybe do once a month, see if people in the chat, like people who watch the show, want to do like an Amazon Prime watch party for a movie. We would
On
have to,
Twitch?
No, you can do it on Amazon Prime, and then there's literally like a chat function in there, so people can watch it from their own devices.
Oh, okay.
And then so the idea would be,
Why haven't more streaming platforms like hopped on that?
I know, like as soon as I was looking into it last night because I always
Copyright. There's probably some copyright
you
issues
remember-
and stuff like that if you try and stream it on YouTube or whatever.
So,
Yeah.
So the idea, guys, would be that I would once a month I would pick out a movie, and then we would have to find a way to get the link disseminated to everyone. Like I don't know if you want to just post that into like to the company Twitter or like to the podcast Twitter or something like that. And say, look, if you have an Amazon Prime account and you want to join this watch party, we're going to be doing this at this time this night, and then we could all. I went and I started watching a bunch of old movies last night. And I'm like, it would be fun to watch New Jack City or to watch Above the Rim with a bunch of people on that watch the podcast.
Well, remember when Rabbit was a thing? They like shut down. That was exactly what the platform was for.
Yeah.
Is like watch parties essentially, and then it just tanked. I don't know what happened to it, and then something replaced it, but it never took off. I'm surprised more
I know Twitch,
streaming
like-
platforms haven't done that.
I know Twitch like knocks people when they try and do stuff like that. So
I thought they allowed like Amazon
because they're owned
any
by
Amazon
Amazon or
Prime
something,
yeah,
right?
watch
It
parties.
just depends on the copyright of the film, probably.
if it's
Yeah.
licensed by okay.
Yeah.
That requires way too much
Yeah.
effort. You know.
Jacob Edler says YouTube community page. Yeah, we could post it. I don't know if you can copy links out of there. Can you?
You
copy
can.
links?
I put links in the.
But anyway,
Okay.
I want to ask the chat once again to like participate in the poll because I want to know what you guys think. Are we contributing to the problem
We're a little bit of the problem.
that is Velma? Are we part of the reason that a Velma season 2
Yeah.
may get made? Season 3 even. I don't know.
The poll's
I don't
not
know what they
referring
have
to me
planned.
because
No.
I haven't
And
watched
not
it.
referring to John, just us. Because we've been putting out these reviews and you guys are like, wow, we're actually watching Brett's soul leave his body in real time. I feel like I'm a little bit more stoic about it, but it really does a number on you visibly.
I was just tired that day. I promise. I was just tired. I actually got a text from Andrew at like midnight, and he goes, have I been drinking too much? Because I don't think this episode is that bad. I'm like, just keep watching. And he's just like, oh, it got way worse.
Yeah.
So I don't know, guys. It's I like the idea of doing watch parties for stuff like this.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
We could hate watch together.
Maybe we could stream it if we're just streaming us and not the content itself.
You
Yeah.
probably wouldn't be able to do it for Velma because Warner Brothers would probably be not happy that you're
Yeah.
sharing their
Flag the-
paywalled content to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Well, so, like at the very least, like it's very cool to be able to watch the same thing and then.
Yeah, if
be in the
Amazon
chat
has
together.
something where you can do it through them, I wouldn't think that there probably isn't a problem with that.
Yeah.
Some people are really mad, and then some people are saying, like, no, you are helping a lot of people not watch by reviewing
True.
it.
That's the
Yeah,
that's
I agree with
my
that too.
I don't know.
that's my really good rationalization for it is. And
I mean, I
I
would never watch it if we weren't reviewing it.
I am not the hate watcher. I am not a hate watcher in the real world. I watch nothing but old stuff most of the time.
Do you know anyone who actually like hate watches a show?
No.
For fun?
No.
Just like hate like
They exist.
Yeah,
Like, that's a
cle-
thing.
Seemingly they do, but I've never met one.
like last night, I'm like, I can watch reruns of Fringe. That's fine.
Yeah.
Even if I say I'm hate watching something, I'm really not. I just dislike it in theory. But I actually have it as like a guilty pleasure. So I don't actually hate anything.
See, yeah,
that I
like
stick to, you
I
know?
have plenty. See, I don't even know about if you should call things guilty pleasures. If you love something, just own it.
Yeah.
No, I was like for
Like-
instance, I admitted on here I watched a bunch of seasons of Drag Race. Like
RuPaul's Drag
that,
Race?
I did that, and I'm gonna admit that openly. I did that. I don't agree with it. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was entertaining. And I didn't hate watch it because obviously you have to like something a little bit to watch it. Maybe hate watchers are just in denial.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to listen to Nickelback, but that's because I liked it. I didn't.
Yeah,
There you go.
I
if you're
wasn't
if you're hate
listening 'cause
watching
I
something or
hated
hate
Nickelback.
listening something, there's something about it that you like.
Probably got-
That's bringing you back.
The for me, it's like if I had to say, if I was to take cover, it would be like admitting I love old NCIS. Like I hate watching. No, I just love it.
I
don't
like the
care.
inside.
Yep.
cop serial dramas, there's a reason why people like them because they work, and there's inherent things about like we want justice as well as watchers and stuff like that.
I love the propaganda.
I don't think there's anything. I like that stuff too.
Someone said, yes, I hate watch y'all. I knew it.
See, hey,
I was on to you.
Look,
Ellen Thompson.
If you're hate watching us, that's like weirdly a compliment to me.
No,
like
I'm sure they're joking, but if you're not joking, I still think that's hilarious.
Like if somebody was hate watching me, I'm like, dude, I don't even like hate watch. Like I barely watch myself. Like you guys have no idea. Like when I have to edit the show, I'm like not looking at myself.
Or if I play something back, Brett is like, headphones.
Yes. No for me. It's good stuff.
Editing your own stuff is tough.
Yeah, it is. It's weird.
Because you're just like, man, I could have done something way better.
Well, for me, it's because my brain very rarely catches up to my mouth and my mouth moves too fast and not well. A lot of times I'm like, maybe I could edit out all of these ahs, likes.
Is there a software for that?
Yeah.
I actually got really good at just like when I was recording recording long form videos, I would just stop and like pause when I like couldn't like form my thought like quick enough, and so I could just easily edit out that like dead space and then continue going on. So I would just like stop talking, formulate my thought, and then continue.
It's the group environment that does it to me, because I used to do what are called audio-ons for my Instagram, which is I would film skating edits and then I would record voiceover for it, talking about either the trick that I was doing in the clip, or if it was a full day of skating, I would talk about what happened at each spot as I was doing the tricks. And I could do those whole monologues without one but it's like when you're in a room here and you want to get your point in, a lot of the does and the ahs are kind of placeholders because you want to keep your point going.
Yeah.
So it's more of like it's a moment of independent panic.
And a lot of times you don't even notice you're doing it. It's just like a habit.
Until somebody comes in the comments section who's like, listen to these idiots who don't know how to talk, who didn't go to radio school.
We're gonna read these super chats.
Let's do it.
Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, "This is towards the therapy fund needed for watching Velma. Your sacrifice will not be forgotten."
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Keep sending funds to the Hate Watch
so
fund.
that Brett doesn't end up in the asylum with a padded room somewhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hobbit said,
just make sure your therapist isn't Harley Quinn.
Yes. No Harley Quinzel for me.
Hobbit said, "I'm back after 2 months recovery from a double hernia. What has changed? What's the crisis party record? Are the 3 names still a thing?" Happy Friday, PCC.
I
names?
believe I removed the names from let me check. Actually, we can just check.
Wait, what 3 names?
No,
I'm glad you're back, though. That sounds intense.
For yesterday, for a couple of days, I removed the names from the boxes when we were in segment, because that way, if we had to cut the video up, when Dane's doing the editing for the social media clip, he has to zoom in really far.
Oh, no. I think that this is talking about those who may not be named.
Oh.
Namely, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and Ezra Miller.
Oh, well, there you go. Heard it right there. What's going on with them?
So they're still a thing, but we don't talk about them as much.
And anytime they come up, then we get some comment of somebody saying, all you guys talk about is Johnny Depp, Amber Heard, and Ezra Miller.
Caper
just
2X.
wait till those movies come out. Flash.
I know.
And
Hey, I'm excited
Aquaman.
for the Flash movie. It's going to be hilarious to watch Warner Brothers just let this dude be a creep, and then it's probably. I consider this
openly
movie,
endorsing.
I consider this movie a litmus test to just how aware the public is. Right. So if this movie does really well and normies don't care, it's proof that we're in a bubble.
The normies definitely don't care, and they've never heard.
They have no idea that Ezra Miller has done anything wrong.
No. Maybe they know about the choking video from Iceland, but other than that, nothing.
Creepy, dressed like a cowboy in front of a kid. I don't think they know about that. I don't think normal people know about that.
I don't
They
know
don't know
that.
about Hawaii.
Yeah,
I know about Hawaii. I didn't know about the other.
But you're not really a normie though. Like the normies.
Oh yeah, because I covered the guy for like a living.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
But I didn't even know what the cowboy thing. What is this?
We went into the deep Ezra Miller lore, and it got ugly.
The whole like Native American thing though too. Yeah, that was
there was that. There was his violent rant about how Parcheesi is
racist.
I feel like at least some of that
in,
has like seeped
colonialism.
in.
Yeah.
Like that with the Ezra Miller. I feel like some of that has seeped in because there's been so much.
Or
and you know there's going to be more when that movie starts coming out with like the PR and stuff.
The Germany thing where he went to Germany.
He was in Berlin in some woman's apartment and she like misgendered him and then he refused to leave her apartment. Crazy stuff. Crazy.
Like, imagine just being able to do all the things you do when you're a non-binary Ezra Miller.
When
Still
you're
get arrested.
non-binary in general,
general,
dude,
yeah.
you just get away with anything in this world.
I thought he only did that when he was filming the police. He
No,
was getting
no, like,
arrested.
it's a lifelong thing. I
No,
think.
he's also
he's
said-
committed to the grift.
He's also said to people that he's less serious about it in private than he is in
Yeah.
public.
Well,
Because
that's
it's a-
what the woman said. The woman from Berlin was like, usually he doesn't mind if in private you call him he, him. But then if it's in a public appearance, you have to refer to him as they, them.
Right.
So that's all you need to know about that.
it's a grift.
Caper2X said, welcome, John. Are you the man to talk about making a St. Tommy NYPD by Declan Finn graphic novel? Howdy Feds, make mine Marvel.
We're the feds.
Yeah, he
I'm not a publisher. I'm not a comic book
recommended this
publisher.
the other day. This like Catholic, I guess like, I don't know. It kind of sounds like crime, like film noir type of vibe. I don't know.
Crisis Party.
Thank you.
Oh.
This is gonna be a lot.
Oh, here we go. Got like flashing lights and everything.
Can you name that movie?
I have no idea what was even playing. I'm
Ah!
sorry.
It's not intelligible at
It
all.
sounded like a horror film. Like
It was not.
I was like, oh my gosh, is someone being attacked?
It was. It was from the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
Oh, really?
Yes. When April wakes up in front of Splinter.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I had no idea that what was even being said.
Yes. It's half my fun. My job now is scaring the crap out of people when that comes. It was funniest when Carter heard it and he was like, because we have somebody who works here. Carter works here, does a lot of our sound engineering. Like he does like the Timcast music and stuff like that.
That was his voice saying Crisis Party.
He recorded
Oh,
me a
okay.
bunch. I'm like, can you just like scream Crisis Party like you're in a hair band? And he's like, sure. And he gave me like a bunch of them.
They were great.
Including
Nice.
that one, which was not that was like not the hair band one.
No.
That was the extra one.
Grofty said guns go burr. They do.
They do.
Indeed. Alex making beds and writing novel on the side said, it's Friday night. Guess what am I doing? Making beds and writing novel on the side, maybe? I don't know.
What is the novel about exactly? I need to know.
Tell us
Tell us.
about it. Big Dave sent us 99 cents without a message, as usual. Thank you, Big Dave.
Thank you, Big Dave.
Yesh said, John, favorite comic from newspapers?
Probably Peanuts.
Calvin and
Calvin and
Hobbes.
Hobbes is cute.
Yeah.
I have all the Calvin and Hobbes bound anthologies. That was a big part of my childhood.
I liked reading the Batman too
Yep.
in the Washington Post.
It's like for me it's weird because like I look back at that and I think about the artistic integrity of Bill Watterson to not sell the rights to the doll, to not allow people to make Hobbes into like a stuffed animal that could be sold for billion. Literally,
Right.
that's a
Oh,
billion.
I don't think that's like. I mean, maybe it's because he believes it's artistic integrity, but
Well, it is. He walked away from a very large.
not
paydays.
wanting money doesn't equal integrity.
But his reasoning is what makes it gives him integrity, saying that in the comics the idea is that for Calvin experiences a different reality than that of the adults because he's young, he's got an imagination. So the second that you make it a plushie, make it a doll, you decide reality for him, and that's not the point. The point is that it's ambiguous, that it's never addressed, that it's ambiguous. It's great normie humor, like the way the dad is just. It's great. If you've read Calvin and Hobbes, right?
Yeah. I mean, what it was for my generation was like Diary of a Wimpy Kid graphic
Yeah.
novels.
Yep.
Like that's what my generation liked.
Spaceman Spiff.
Newspapers
And
were
also
already
Cabs
pretty
and
much dead by then.
Underpants as well.
Yeah.
K42X said, we can never hate you, Mary, but we love Brett. Back at it with the backhanded compliments, dude.
for everyone. All right, let's hold off on the
Savage.
rest, and then we will move on, and
All right.
we will start with awful Julia Fox, and we will come back to the rest of the super chats.
All
Can,
right.
can we just go back 1 second
Yeah.
to the Velma story real quick?
Yes.
Sure.
The like
You got
it's
bones
paired
to pick?
analytics too, so like I don't really put any trust in them, and I'll wait for the Nielsen numbers to come out, which usually takes a month. So that's
Yeah.
when we'll actually see like real numbers from Velma's.
Excellent.
We'll
show.
be talking about it then. So we've got this story from Julia Fox because a guy on TikTok posted a cryptic video about getting S8. I can't say those words on YouTube.
You cannot.
He used cryptic language to explain what happened to him, and Julia Fox hopped into the comment section and express zero sympathy for him.
It was part of a TikTok trend, right?
Yes, so there's
replacing the word.
You know, I kind of hate this TikTok trend on its face because TikTok is all about arbitrarily censoring people from talking about the subject matter at hand. Yep. There's so many TikTok trends that only exist because you're not allowed to say certain words on that platform or address certain topics on that platform. So here, he has to refer to his genitalia as mascara. Okay, but he has to substitute that word as mascara. And here was the caption. He said, let me read this out. Yep. I gave this one girl mascara one time, and it must have been so good that she decided that she and her friend should both try without my consent. And then Julia Fox hopped in the comments section and said, I don't know why, but I don't feel bad for you. LOL.
It's the LOL that dude, it's
Despite
so
the
bad.
fact that the rest of that comment section, like almost all of the rest of the comments were being sympathetic and supportive.
Yep.
She just had to hop in there and be, I can't say the word, but I mean, she had to just say her inconsiderate comment.
Yeah.
Because, you know, she talks big about being a feminist and wanting equality. And she makes so many TikToks preaching about like male-female dynamics. And when it comes down to it, she just hates men.
Yeah.
Like there's no complexity or nuance to it. She just hates men.
Well, that's what this generation
and doesn't
of
believe that
feminism-
they're capable of experiencing authentic suffering.
Yeah. And that's what this generation of feminism has raised women to do, is to hate men.
Yeah. Now, I'm not saying I see a TikTok from a stranger claiming something and I automatically believe it or I feel it some type of way about it. I don't. But even if that's the case, do I go in the comment section and tell him that?
Yeah.
Like, why is it any of my business?
Sometimes you just drive by and keep going. You don't have to stop and comment on everything.
Right. So she clearly has the agenda.
I think there was a lesson from Thumper in like the Bambi movie, right? Don't have anything nice to say. Don't say anything at all.
There you go. That's
when Disney actually like was legit.
Yep.
I mean, that's a pretty good lesson for the culture it was given to at the time. But now it just means you can't criticize bad behavior at all. So in Julia Fox's mind, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. It's like if you have something critical to say of me, don't say it. Yeah. That's what it means to her.
Right.
And I can do whatever I want without facing any consequences. I'm beyond reproach because I was Josh Safdie's muse for Uncut Gems.
Well, also, I think
like that is her line of reasoning.
This guy's hashtag on the TikTok video is like Genshin Impact. That's kind of weird.
Oh yeah, like people choose weird hashtags on TikTok to get exposure. So one of them is essay awareness, and then Genshin Impact. Like,
so I guess I am a little confused. Like, is this guy saying that he was an actual essay? It doesn't seem that way.
That is what he seems
Does he
to be
convey that
implying.
in the video?
Because he responded to her.
So these two women are doing this to him?
Then he responded to Julia Fox and he said, "You don't feel sympathy for me getting essayed?"
Yeah.
Okay.
Question mark. So that is what he was implying. Now, I guess Julia Fox has the perfect plausible deniability to be like, I didn't know that the trend meant that. I thought it was about mascara.
That's totally what I thought it meant.
I mean,
so
I'll be
she's
honest,
going
I
to
would
hop
have
on TikTok
no
again.
idea what that trend was.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't either because I got banned from TikTok. So I can't keep up with trends anymore. Unfairly, by the way.
So yeah.
But like that's why trends like this exist on TikTok in the first place, because you can just get banned without explanation. So you can't push any boundaries. You can't say words like that mean anything.
Yeah.
Because you don't know what the boundaries are.
Right. Like the boundaries aren't set out explicitly. So you have to come up with these weird terms that only chronically online people will understand.
There was also comments underneath. It says, I can confirm that she's deleting comments from her TikTok because I commented 3 times and all of them are gone, yet she still hasn't deleted her comment or addressed it.
Well, I think she did actually end up deleting her comment on his TikTok, but now she's deleting comments from anyone who is calling her out on her own account. And it's kind of funny because she definitely seems addicted to the platform.
Yeah.
Like, she's doom scrolling 24/7 and ignoring her baby. I know it.
And that's the other reason why it's impossible for her to feign ignorance, because like nobody that dialed in, nobody that terminally online isn't aware of what they're talking about. Right. Especially in some randos comments that you have no reason. Like, this isn't like some homie of yours that you left a comment on, maybe not understanding what's going on. This is just some dude you've never interacted with in your life.
And I saw these tweets talking about the trend. They said, "This is less about Julia Fox. I don't know what her thinking was, but overall, I hate social media censorship that we have to use code words to talk about heavy topics.
Yeah.
Words have meaning for a reason, and quote, mascara, grape, and unalive make discussions sound really unserious." And another person pointed out, "No offense, but most people have no idea that this post was referring to sex or what mascara is a code word for. Not everyone is chronically online like you guys."
Yeah.
And I can say definitively, I didn't know about this trend. I am sure Julia Fox did.
Yes.
But she's going to fall on feigning ignorance to get out of this one.
Did she explain why she doesn't feel bad for the guy?
Because he's a guy. Guys can't be assaulted.
She's part of this permanent class of like attractive white women who are super rich, who go on podcasts with Emily Ratatouille. That's what we call
with who?
Ratajkowski.
Okay, yeah.
And they complain about how horrible men are and how men are the root of all evil and men have ruined their lives. I mean, even Emrata says, "Oh, the paparazzi have ruined casual dating for me. I'm so embarrassed." Meanwhile, the only reason that someone like Emrata gets in the news is because of her casual dating life.
Absolutely.
And getting shot by the paparazzi with a new guy like Eric Andre or Pete Davidson.
Doesn't she have a kid?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
that
she has a kid
like
too.
A rag doll.
Julia Fox has a child as well, but they're both single moms. No wonder they hate men, because the men that these celebrity women interact with are probably the most insufferable men in society.
Yeah.
I don't understand why people hang out with that Davidson guy.
I think it's because he's crazy. Like,
No.
he's crazy and he
like he's like
brainwashes them.
I feel like he's
Attractive or
just like the
not?
Hollywood fixer guy.
Attractive or not, they will be studying his game for years with the women he pulls.
He is
They
a
will-
Riz Lord,
He is,
as they call him.
as Serge would say, he is a Riz Lord. We don't know what Riz means, but whatever it is, he is it.
He has it. Whatever Riz is, he has it.
Well, also, like, for Pete Davidson, it's like he has the fame, too, so that kind of makes sense.
But
I had
still,
no idea
it's
who the guy
something
was until,
beyond
like,
that.
Saturday Night Live
Yeah.
and, like King of Staten Island. Or,
I literally had no
Yeah.
idea who he was until he started dating like high-level celebrities.
Yeah, well, now that's becoming, like, his thing.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship for them. I don't know who is the parasite in that relationship, but I think it's because he's like unstable. He doesn't date anyone for very long.
They're in, like, I'm in my crazy boyfriend phase. And he's like,
I mean, he I think got like kicked off of the set of one of his own shows recently, like somewhat recently, for trashing his trailer.
I mean, that just seems like normal Hollywood behavior.
But it was more than just trashing it. Like, it was, you had to put thought into how to destroy something this thoroughly. Like, he said he broke a TV in half.
Nice.
And he like threw coffee everywhere. Like, he just went fully unhinged.
I don't think there's any thought behind that. That just sounds like rage.
Do you think that part of like when we joke about the name of the podcast being Pop Culture Crisis, that the idea here that somebody like Julia Fox, who in the chat a lot of people are like, who the hell is Julia Fox? She dated Kanye West. She was in Uncut Gems.
She was his fashion hag for a while.
So that's her claim to fame. But these people carry enormous social influence. So somebody like her, who's got millions of followers online, is the type of person she is, and then she is now a role model to young women who see her going into the comment section of a dude who, whether you believe him or not, is at least on his face saying that he was a victim of something heinous happening to him, and she's like, ha, lol, that's too bad. Like, I don't really feel bad for you. Like, that's where the actual crisis is.
Does
like,
that
those
influence
people are being
other
held up
women
as,
to think the same way when it comes to men speaking out, right?
Yeah.
Oh, 100% it does. I mean, I have kids now, and I can see the influence that any kind of media on my kids now, they like pick it up so quick. They're like sponges. So 100% does. And you have these companies literally telling you that's their whole aim too. So the fact that, and like, I think Instagram is literally like trying to run some PR campaign where they can give you parental controls and stuff, because there's the evidence now that they know that it's like affecting people's behavior, and they've known it for a while.
Elon Musk said, Twitter makes you angry, Instagram makes you depressed.
Yeah.
Which one is worse? Which one do you think? Which one do you think is worse, Twitter or Instagram?
Depressed.
Depressed.
Being depressed is way worse than being angry.
I've actually found, like, I got off
sure.
Twitter for years. And I just recently, just because of the show, I made a new Twitter. And I'm not, I read stuff every day that's annoying, doesn't anger me. It actually made me angry when I went back in the day when I had a Facebook.
Instagram is just kind of boring
I love
to
it.
me. Like, I don't open it for very long. I just post and go. And that's how I was on TikTok too, just like post and go. But Twitter, I think people get into echo chambers on there specifically about like the battle of the sexes right now, like really bad. And it starts shaping their worldview and like how they interact with people in the real world in a very destructive way. I hope that I am not a victim of that. Like, I try not to doom scroll on anything.
Instagram doesn't really bother me because I counter it with funny. I just post up, like, not obviously my posts, but my story posts are all stuff that's funny, stuff that other people have posted that I find humorous and amusing.
Sure.
I don't doom scroll through. Like,
So it
the
depends
worst
on how
that could
you
happen,
use it.
yeah, the worst that could happen is you get like stuck on like a bunch of like red pill videos, which are fine, but like, you know, become a bit much when it's like high value women, high value men.
When
this,
you
this,
feel
and that.
like you're in the pipeline, that's when you need to make an
Yeah.
exit.
Like, it's like if I've gone from like if it's like there's Andrew Tate and there's Pearly and Jedediah, whatever her name is, and all these people, I'm like, I gotta get the frick
I feel
off
like
here,
that's
man.
now the mirror image of the intellectual dark web of what that was for like kids my age in high school in like 2015, 2016. Like that's the equivalent of that now. Is the red pill dating sphere, which is so much worse, I think, than watching Jordan Peterson videos.
Which is funny because like there's a couple of them that I had no problem with, but I listened to it as entertainment, not as something where I actually thought I was getting relevant life advice from these people.
Yeah.
Like most of them was like, okay, there's one like his name was Donovan Sharp, and most of it wasn't him giving advice; it was him making fun of horrible feminist articles. So like kind of like what we do, but like with just with feminism. And like I got a huge kick out of that because he's taking the piss out of this lady writing this horrible article that's mean to people. Like that's not the same thing as thinking like this guy's got all the answers for dating advice.
You don't think anyone has all the answers.
No.
That was weird.
Got a double shot there.
I mean, furthermore on Julia Fox, I just saw this other article from Evie that pointed out she had a Balenciaga Christmas ornament on her tree that was mirroring the campaign with the bondage teddy bears.
Yeah, because she's weird.
Even though she herself is a mother and should understand why kids need to be protected from this kind of thing, she posted this and she posted on her Instagram story with the caption like "too soon, LOL," as if it's just some kind of big joke. Like Julia Fox is the definition of the fashion nerd who is just a LARPer who thinks it's dope.
Yeah.
Like you are so dumb.
Yep.
That you think that this is art.
Just absolutely detached from reality. Also, that's that's a class thing.
A
too.
fully erect teddy bear dressed in bondage gear with a ball gag in its mouth on her Instagram story. Only a month or less than a month after the original scandal broke out. Yep. This was like during Christmas that she did this. Despite being a mother herself, doesn't understand the importance of the situation.
That's attention seeking.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, social media is also evil in that way, right? Like people get addicted to needing the attention in the post. Yeah. That's the other thing about the comments, right? Like you can go ages without posting something, but you can just start fights in comment sections, and that's like another way to get attention. And there's a certain type of person that doesn't care what type of attention they get as long as they get attention.
I mean, that's all of Hollywood.
Like, and it's funny too because that's like those are the people that like. Everyone I know has a hard time ignoring those people. Like when somebody just tiptoes over to your comment section and says something incendiary, I'm like, any response you give them, I don't care if you give them the best barb, the best roast in the world. All they care about is that they got you to respond to it. Like they don't care if you roast them as long as you took the time to respond. The best thing you can do, it's like a fire, right? Like let it burn out. Like
right.
It makes no sense to me. So. All right. We got some super chats there.
Yes. Cody McNutt said, how many crisis parties for Brett to drink the Belle Delphine Splash Mountain water?
Ah, gosh.
Brett's like 0.
I'll do that for free. Are you kidding me? Let's go.
I assume Disney has pretty good quality control over their water, right?
You would
maybe?
hope.
You would think so.
I don't know.
When I think of
it is
Disney,
exposed though to like to
all
nature,
of
right?
people's sweat, spit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Like I'm
And you've
trying
got the
to-
rides and stuff. So
You've been
like,
waiting outside for like
Yeah.
5 hours to get into the ride in the first place. It's just
I would assume it's
nasty.
like got like really high chlorine content
To
though,
kill all
right?
the-
to kill
the
it all,
germs
right?
and
In the
stuff.
water.
Yeah.
like.
No brain-eating amoeba for me.
I do want to know how Belle Delphine like labels her water as authentic. How does she authenticate her water?
People thought it was authentic because they had like
Didn't somebody
sea
test it?
monkeys growing in it and stuff, like bacteria. And I was like, "Ugh, you're gonna drink that? Okay. Caper2X said 2 PCC parties.
Soon, hopefully. I hope.
We will.
We hope.
1000-Foot Deep End said, Happy Friday, PCC crew. Welcome, John. Lastly, let the record state, I never voted for y'all to watch Velma. I am innocent of any and all blame.
Well, thank you so much
What
for
was
that.
it? It was like a mass majority.
Yes, most said,
majority,
please watch
sorry.
it and suffer. Like our audience is a little bit mean. That's okay. That's all right.
I don't think they're mean.
I'm
They're
kidding.
nice.
They're telling you now to stop it though.
Yeah, I
so-
know. Get your vote. I mean, this was not
Pretty
listed
close,
as a
though.
poll that's going to get us to stop. We're still going to finish the series now for the just.
Well, we've already committed this far. Why would we stop now?
Yeah.
It's like the Elon Musk poll where
We've
he's
only
Yeah,
got
and he
2
just
more
never-
reviews to
get
go,
rid of
right?
CEO or whatever. He's still there.
He's still see ya. He just took advantage.
put
of
a
the fact-
timeline on it.
Yeah, he just took advantage of the fact that the internet has a very short memory.
Yeah. RS Degurchaff said, we appreciate your sacrifice in watching Velma, but you needn't torture yourselves. It's not that bad, you know? I mean, the show is that bad, but watching it's not that bad.
No, here's the thing. Like now, it's at a point where it's like it's the same thing week to week. So it was like it was shocking and awful
Right.
originally. Now it's just awful.
You expect it.
Yeah, like it's like
There's no
every
more
time
shock.
they're like white people. Am I right? Isn't that funny? You're like, oh, okay, I get it. This is the joke now.
It wasn't shocking at all because that's what they marketed it as. So
I mean, there was
You
still
saw it
some,
from the
it.
trailer. Like,
Yeah.
you knew.
expected it.
Bad Adam 12 said, Brett, are you watching WrestleMania tomorrow night? Might be a cluster with all the drama going on. And yeah, I think we should just ignore the news shows and not even acknowledge them.
Yep, I agree with that. I don't know if I'm going to watch WrestleMania. Like, I wonder if Vince is going to get his hands in this now that he's back and Triple H resigned, right? Like, there's all sorts of crap going. Did Triple H resign or did I imagine that? Like, I thought he resigned as head of creative. Was it WrestleMania? I thought it was Royal Rumble that was coming.
I don't think it's WrestleMania. WrestleMania's in the summer, right?
No, WrestleMania is in April. So,
okay. Yeah. But it's like a yearly thing, right?
we're in January, so it should be the Royal Rumble coming up, not WrestleMania. But at this point, it's just all about when the hell are they going to take the belts off Roman Reigns because he's been champion for like 3 years or something like that.
Are the
Something-
storylines even good?
I haven't I don't really watch anymore.
Okay.
I listen to wrestling is kind of like comics for me, where I listen to the content creators, but I don't have the heart to watch.
There was a
fully through
local wrestling thing up
Yeah.
in like
Yeah.
in Arlington in Alexandria. I used to go to that, and they would do it like maybe once a month, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it was
I
like, 'cause
love
you could literally be there and like yell at them.
I love the sport itself. It's an extremely underappreciated art form in that like people think that because it's predetermined that means it's not difficult, but it's a very, very difficult thing to do.
It's stage acting with
Yes.
like insane athletics.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've gotten
I
to take a suplex.
I've-
I got to take a suplex on a ring in a ring. It's crazy
Yeah.
feeling.
When did you do that?
A long time ago.
I mean, I saw them do a ladder match, and like these people were clearly like abusing their bodies, and like
They're some of the best
in pain.
conditioned athletes in
Yeah.
the world. The wrestlers back in the day worked 300 days a year. So they are on the road driving themselves from show to show while killing themselves in this ring.
Right.
Like it's crazy. To do that every day and then like get in a car and basically like drive to the next show, like catch flights, get rental cars. It's not an easy. It's like being a rock star, but way more painful for them.
and you don't get rewarded as much unless you go big, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
The Last of My Kind said, we need more pirates to avoid supporting while hate watching. Also, I'm sure a lot of people are doing that.
Yes.
Also, howdy y'all. Much love while providing me with something to listen to while working.
Well, thank you.
We're happy to oblige.
I consider it my the biggest compliment when people tell me that they listen at work, because that's how I always listen to podcasts while I was working.
Alejandro Reyes said, nice to see more people with hats so Brett doesn't feel lonely.
Oh,
Yes.
I always wear a hat.
Yep, me too.
Tim wears a hat too, right?
Yep, Tim's got the beanie. I wore a beanie one day. The world turned upside down.
Everyone freaked out.
Everyone freaked out.
John S. said, unironically loving the trash content. In
Oh.
Velma or
Velma,
pop culture.
yeah.
Okay, like
Oh,
that,
no.
like there's, like I said,
Good
like,
for you.
we got a message or like Andrew last night. He's like, this is actually not that bad, or maybe I've just been drinking too much. And it's like, I think you've just been drinking too much.
But then you said 2 minutes later, he said it was really bad.
Then I was like,
Never
wait till
mind.
you get to episode 6. He goes, oh, it's so much worse.
VS said, I like hearing your opinion, so I don't give money or views to bad shows. Though if you held a watch party and people actually watch the show, then their opinions gain credibility and can't be written off as review bombing.
I mean, you probably shouldn't review bomb. Like, you probably shouldn't go to a site and write a review if you didn't actually watch it.
Who
like,
cares at this point?
here's
The reviews
me
are all
preaching
fake
in-
anyway.
I mean,
All
most
the
of the time when
positive
you
reviews are fakes too.
yeah, most of the time when you see people like saying review bomb, you go to like IMDb or whatever it is, and it's like, well, there's like way more 10-star reviews than 1-star
Just
reviews.
go to
Sure.
ChatGPT and get the AI to write a review for you, a negative review for Velma, and just post it so it can't be duplicated.
AI reviews will that's
AI
the
review bombing is the future.
It's the future.
It
man.
is.
It's the
Control
equivalent
the
of
industry.
a review with 6 fingers.
John
Yes.
Bosworth says you need to get a trucker hat.
A trucker hat?
Yeah.
I think I have one.
I think is Mary in her trucker hat?
I have an
era?
FBI hat.
Yes, she did wear the FBI hat one day.
Does it say Fed or just FBI?
Just FBI, because everyone knows I'm a Fed, right?
Yes, you're definitely the fan.
Alejandro Reyes said, you think Western culture, like Hollywood, will ever recover from China audience exposure?
I don't even think it's China. I think Hollywood was always red and just got worse.
Well, they made a lot of
I just agree with that.
anti-communist
content
in the
yeah,
past
there was
as
a lot
well.
of like John Wayne and like
Yeah, but like, it's like, have you ever seen there's a Razor Fist video called Hollywood Was Always Red? It's
Haven't
very,
seen that
very
one.
good, that discussing the communist roots of Hollywood and how basically went underground for a bit of time during the McCarthy era, but was always going to work its way back. It was never going to, like, those people are never going to live forever. Like your John Wayne's, your Walt Disney's are not going to live forever. And the funny thing about it is, I brought this up to Mary and I had a hard time putting it into words. Every time I see an older actor die, I think there's somebody from a time when people were sane who he could be the biggest liberal in the entire world, but he was raised in a world that wasn't so polarizing. And you lose, little by little, voices of reason every time one of these older actors, who probably is further to the left of you or me, right? Like, or at least maybe of you guys, right? Like, I still consider myself fairly liberal. But every time one of these actors dies, you just think of like what's coming up now. And you just remember that the pendulum's going to swing even farther.
Yeah, I just want to go back to the argument that it was always like commie. I don't know. You watch some of the old films, like there's people praying and stuff like that. So I don't know. It's hard to. Maybe I'll have to watch that Razor Fist video
Yeah,
and
you have to watch
he'll
it.
argue against me. But I just don't see the evidence right now that like, and maybe it's stuff
Or-
I just haven't seen enough of it. But
The argument is that it's like it was always there and it was always going to get worse. Like, they pay lip service to the religious aspect of society back in the day because they actually appealed to middle America. They now, because of internet communication, the fact that we're all digitally connected, they don't have to pay lip service to middle America anymore because middle America is constantly infiltrated by coastal ideas through social media all the time anyways.
yeah, I get where you're coming from, but like, what do you have any like specific movies that like show that like they're just paying lip service to it, that were like actually like
We'd have to watch it.
super
Maybe we
subversive?
could watch that sometime on the stream.
Okay, yeah.
But it's I don't know if I buy that Hollywood was, at the very least at the artistic level, I believe that it's always been leftist. Like, theater nerds are gonna theater nerd, and theater nerds are the ones who believe that universal basic health care or universal health care is like just something easy we could do in no time. They don't have a concept of what it would actually mean to govern in a society the way they want, right? So how many celebrities endorse Bernie Sanders? How many celebrities do this, that? Because it's not their job to think about, societal structure or or foreign policy or anything involving our healthcare system. It's their job to make art, and art tends to lead for people that are far less analytical and far more emotional.
I mean, I don't know, like the Roman Catholic Church like paid a lot of artists a lot of good stuff to make really cool art, and like they're not like communist or leftist.
That was before,
right? But
I guess the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah, sure. It's before the Enlightenment. Before
He's
the Industrial
talking about
Revolution,
in that video, if I remember correctly, he's talking about like from like right after the McCarthy era onward, it was always red.
Okay. Yes. So from like the 60s,
Yes.
50s, 60s.
Yes.
Okay,
like
that,
Hollywood
yes.
in and of itself, not necessarily
Yeah.
all of art.
Yeah,
but
because I'm thinking
Hollywood.
like back
No.
to the 30s and 40s and
Yeah.
stuff.
No,
Like,
he's talking-
definitely not. But
no.
yeah, okay, I can more see that argument, like the 50s and 60s moving forward.
Yeah.
That makes more sense to me.
Yep.
John S. said, I wait for Velma Thursdays with hate and hunger.
Well, you know what?
Velma Thursdays.
I
It's
tell
a
you
thing
what,
now.
guys. I actually sleep bad when I have to review Velma. I do. I have like not
dreading it?
not nightmares, but I can't stay asleep. I keep waking up in the middle of the night
no.
until I get
Even watching Rings of Power every week wasn't this bad.
No, it wasn't.
Not
Like-
even close.
Like I kind of like I was the more even keel person on Rings of Power, except for that one episode early. Like,
there were some that really pissed me off.
Towards the end, it got bad. Like I started hating it more. But I was somebody who's not a huge Tolkien fan is fine with it. But like I was open to being proven wrong.
You just hated Suckladriel.
I hated
What you call him.
I hated Guy Ladriel a lot, but in general, like I was not going into it looking to hate it like a lot of people were, right? But,
I mean, I wasn't looking at going into hate it. I already hated it because I knew what it was going to be.
Yes.
So because they literally told you what they were doing, and it was all not Tolkien.
Yep. Well, it's also funny too because they didn't even use the characters that they used for Shield marketing all that much in the show. Durin and I actually liked Durin and Disa more than most of the characters in the show, and Disa wasn't in it at all.
She actually got decent dialogue.
Yeah.
And the interaction with what is his name, the dwarf Durin. Was actually pretty decent. I will agree with
That
that.
was
If
like
they
the one bright
hadn't
spot.
focused
Yeah.
on such a huge ensemble cast where you're jumping around every episode to 5 different
Yeah.
storylines that are all hollow and meaningless,
Yep.
Well, yeah,
they needed to choose like 3.
No, the whole way they set out to shape the show was just utterly ridiculous. The time crunching and stuff like that. What they should have done is broken it down into each season, choosing one of like Tolkien's
Right.
stories, and then going from there. And then you can have like the time jumps between the seasons or whatever, because that's literally how he writes it in the Silmarillion and how he describes it in his letters. As well to the publisher. I think it's like Milton Waldman is his name.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally writes it out for you. It's already there. It's already done. And they decided like they could write the book that he never wrote that he actually did write, and he actually wrote before the Lord of the Rings. It just wasn't published and edited until his son did after he died.
I don't think that they're interested in Tolkien's work even.
They say they
remotely.
are. The one guy like memorized some like elfish stuff to try and like trick you to think
To
that he's
post
a fan
on Twitter for clout.
No, he did it at San Diego Comic-Con.
Oh yeah,
He like did that, like he did some like elvish thing, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was cringe.
Let's do one more and then we'll move on.
Pandering.
All right. I don't know who this is, but Blaze the Wise said, "Shout out to the thirsty wooch."
Also, thank you, Blaze the
I don't
Wise.
know
It says
who that
it says
is.
celebrate the first super chat from Blaze the Wise 12. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
It says that underneath here. All right, guys, we are moving on. Before we move on, though, could you please like this video, leave a comment on this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, if you haven't already done so you can join us for all of these episodes Monday through Friday. Please do that if you could, please. All right, we are moving on. So this is so funny because most of our research when we're getting ready for the show, you're inundated with news from Marvel constantly, Marvel and Star Wars news. When you go to these sites, whether it's Bounding Into Comics, whether it's Cosmic Book News, Bleeding Fool, where depending on where you get your news from, there's so much Marvel news. You'd think it was the most popular thing in the world, but as we know, the movies are losing traction in a lot of respects.
They're still pretty big.
But
Take
they're
that away.
like depending on who you're going to see. Like the Avengers movies did fine. What was the biggest movie recently?
Spider-Man.
But even that, like I still grudgingly consider that like a Sony thing, not a. I hate giving Marvel credit for
Wakanda
Spider-Man.
Forever
Yeah.
did well.
Did fine.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it
Depending on
didn't-
whether or not you count in, like they actually had those huge, there's rumored like massive increase in the production cost.
Yeah.
but it looks like it did pretty well.
So, but when it comes to their television shows, in my opinion, it's a dumpster fire.
Yes,
it's a dumpster
they're
fire.
all horrible.
So this says Marvel and Star Wars fail again, not on top 2022 streaming charts at all.
Yeah, it shouldn't surprise anyone.
No, it
because
should
their
not.
shows sucked.
So yeah, when you think about the stuff that was released this year,
Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, I Am Groot,
Yeah.
Werewolf by Night, and Guardians of the Galaxy's holiday special, which like barely counts.
People said they liked that though.
The funny thing about this is like I consider Moon Knight the same as Andor in that like people liked it but no one watched it.
I mean, I don't know. I saw a lot of people criticizing it because it was like another bait and switch with like the Moon Knight wasn't really the hero.
But it's like I'm just going
character.
off the general like I'm a DC person. The Marvel stuff I can't. Like I watched Hawkeye. I liked Hawkeye, but that was technically 2021.
People still are talking about Andor. I don't hear anyone talking about Moon Knight at all anymore.
No.
Like zero chatter about that
I mean,
show.
I know I watched like 2 episodes of Moon Knight actually,
So
and it was just mediocre.
And
But-
it had like probably a top talent.
Oscar Isaac.
Yeah, with Oscar.
Yep.
So.
And then Diego Luna.
I definitely
Andor.
see why it would appeal
Yep.
to a certain audience, but it would be a niche one.
But it says for Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi and Andor were released along with episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, and we can throw in Willow, which was from
Yeah.
Lucasfilm. That one ended up being even more of a disaster than people realized it was going to. It says, I did like Moon Knight and Andor a lot, but everything else is basically really terrible. It's unbelievable to think that these two franchises, once as big and popular as Marvel and Star Wars, have now failed to deliver. I think the Star Wars one is almost more egregious because they've made it a television property rather than keeping it in the cinema.
Well, they keep saying that they're going to do movies and they never come to fruition.
Nope.
Patty Jenkins,
Rogue
probably
Squadron.
the most famous. Yeah, with Rogue Squadron.
Yep.
We haven't heard anything of the Taika Waititi one. There's supposed to be some kind of like Kevin Feige produced one coming too.
And they keep
So-
threatening you with the new Ryan Johnson trilogy
Yeah.
that they like to threaten you with like once a year. Kathleen Kennedy says, don't forget about that Ryan Johnson trilogy. And then it goes away again.
They're saying that Damon Lindelof, the Watchmen guy, is
Yeah.
making a movie now or something like that, but we haven't seen anything.
So remember, Mary, when we discussed how I said, how is it that Amazon Prime could have possibly passed Netflix in the list of like most popular streaming services?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you look at this list for top 2022 streaming original programs and the list of top streaming programs overall, it's almost all Netflix.
Stranger Things,
All of it.
Ozark, Wednesday, Cobra Kai, obviously that was.
Do you see what's number 2?
Dahmer was big.
And yeah.
Number 2 for 22. Oh, reruns of NCIS.
300. Yes, it's like actually half
Yeah.
that's me.
Yeah.
Like I'm half those views.
But like, look what
actually.
else is on there too, like Grey's Anatomy reruns on Netflix, Criminal Minds, which is I guess probably on Netflix and
It is.
some
Right.
other shows. But
Rings
like,
of Power is way down there.
yeah, even Simpsons is still number 15.
It's funny, Criminal Minds is on various because it's on Hulu too, if I
Right.
remember correctly. Seinfeld,
Supernatural
Supernatural.
reruns.
Supernatural is one of those ones that I keep trying to watch and I just can't. Never interested me.
I'm
People love
that's
that show.
that's the stuff that probably would interest me, but like it was a CW show, and I don't know, it didn't look like it took it serious enough.
The first, I'd say the first, I've made it through like 5 to 10 episodes total, like just for episode 1 to 10. And then I always try, like, I'm not somebody who like, the best thing you can do if you're like trying to like watch something and you keep stopping is to just skip that episode and move on to the next one. But I never try to do that with this show. I always try to go back to the beginning and start, and I never make it past like the first few episodes. I mean, there's some decent like
Coco Melon, you can attribute that to my views.
yes.
Definitely.
But when you're making these shows,
You
when
watch
you're
Coco Melon?
I'm kidding.
Oh.
when you're watching
I wasn't
Disney,
sure.
when you're watching
I was
Disney
like, my
Star
daughter
Wars,
watches that, but she watches on YouTube.
when you're watching Disney Star Wars or you're watching Disney Marvel television, do you really think that anything you're watching being created is going to ever be held in the same vein as a Simpsons or a Seinfeld or any of these shows that stand the test of time?
No, none of the new stuff will ever touch the old stuff at this point in time. You just don't have the talent behind it. You don't have the vision. You don't have the people that understand the property. They have people that are like undermining the fundamental parts of Star Wars. I mean, they fundamentally don't understand how the Force works. They don't understand the Jedi, they don't understand Luke Skywalker's journey. Book of Boba Fett proved that, where they were like having Luke give the baby Yoda character Grogu this like ultimatum: you have to pick between your friends or the Jedi. And it's like, Luke, do you not remember that you literally left Yoda to go save your friends on Bespin, and then you literally did the same thing with your father in Return of the Jedi? Like, you literally didn't choose the Jedi, and you're one of the greatest Jedi ever, because you realized that the Jedi that of like Obi-Wan and Yoda's time had a misguided view on what love was, and they were misinterpreting it, not understanding it. And you realize that like redemption is real, and your father is still a good person. But deep down inside, it can be redeemed.
All of those ideas are like actual storytelling, and not just storytelling for the sake of owning someone, of owning the
like She-Hulk.
Like,
that's human and not robotic enough.
Out of all of the Marvel shows that they made, the one that had the most buzz around it was She-Hulk, and that's because it was made literally for people to hate.
To spite. They admitted that.
If that's the thing, if you're going to make material to hate and for people to hate, and the best you can do is that the show you made out of spite for people that you don't like, who literally would love to give you money as long as you just made stuff for them, but they have this weird hatred for their own audience. Like, if you can't even get one of your other shows, not even Miss Marvel, which is when they want to make a flagship, just like they want to make Captain Marvel.
They've tried everything with that.
Where are the teenage girls that are super into Marvel?
The same.
Where are the single 35-year-old professional women
who
are super into
Her
Marvel?
name is Sana
They
Anamana.
work at Marvel in the writers' room, but are they watching it? No.
Well, here's the thing. It's the same. It's the same logic for why they can't get the WNBA to become profitable, because women don't care. They're making things for women.
You
and
can't
women don't
make
care.
us care.
You can't. They're trying to force.
Like, why
women
would you
to
want to
care.
watch a subpar product
Or
when
it's
you can
just
watch men
insulting.
play at like a way higher level? It's just, I mean, there's an example that I always go to. The U.S. women's soccer national team got trounced by 13-year-old boys in like Dallas a couple years ago in like a scrimmage. Like, they literally got beat by a bunch of 8th graders.
Yep.
I mean, it's just an insult to women that they have to watch only content that exactly represents them, instead of just relating to any story like a human being would.
Yeah, well, what's crazy about She-Hulk is like they try to make like I guess they try to pitch it as that Boston Legal show that was popular.
I love Boston Legal.
Well, there's another one.
I love
Boston Legal's a show, but there's another one with I can't remember what the name. My
Ally
wife watched
McBeal?
it. Yeah, Ally McBeal.
I'm such a boomer. It's awesome.
No, my wife was watching all the reruns of that when she was on maternity leave.
I don't watch Ally McBeal, but I love Boston Legal. Shatner, man.
But I watched that show, and it wasn't terrible, because it's a legal drama, and like obviously there's like some personal drama and stuff like that, and that appeals more. I would argue their main audience was women, but like there's nothing wrong with that, because like I could watch that, and I got it too, because it had some interesting aspects to it, but they decided to be spiteful instead.
Yeah.
The top shows right now are shows that everyone can watch because they have universal appeal.
Yep.
They also don't insult their own shows. They don't insult their own viewers. They don't make fun of their own like magic or properties. Like Loki, for example, makes fun of the whole, like, okay, the Infinity Stones are these huge things that Thanos used to like literally wipe out half of the universal population. In Loki, as soon as we see it there, they're literally being used as paperweights. And it's like, why are you making fun of your own like magic? And Tolkien writes about this. He's got a whole essay called On Fairy Stories, and he says like that is the one thing that you cannot do when you're writing a fairy story, is to satirize your own internal magic, because it drops the viewers' suspension of disbelief, and so they're no longer actually in the story living it and breathing it with you. They're looking from it on the outside now.
We could have saved them, because you know that these are the same weirdos who have like the people writing these things are probably the same people who've never read anything other than Harry Potter. And you could be like, it would be like if Voldemort like took a Horcrux and like used it to skip it like as a skipping stone in a river or something like that. Like you can only speak to them in the language they understand.
Not
actually
anymore though.
And there's plenty of examples like this too. So they actually will tell you, they come up with like these dumb like inside jokes between their friends, and they're like, oh, let's write a story about it. Amelia Clark did this absolutely horrendous comic book.
Oh yeah, it was so bad.
From Image Comics, and when she was promoting it, she said it was just an inside joke that she had with her friends on like a taxi ride, and it's like, Someone should have told you no, but because it's Emilia Clarke, they figured they could get like a cheap, quick buck because of her name and Game of Thrones.
Like even sometimes when we're making thumbnails, we have to remind each other that people aren't going to get this reference. Like you can't project your work outwards to people without people actually knowing what the hell you're talking about. That's not possible. It's not a thing. So it's the list here, and it is also funny too, because for most of these shows, they're far more mass wide appeal. So you look at Dahmer, you look at Bridgerton, you look at Wednesday. Those are the ones that stick out.
I'm surprised that Stranger Things is still at the top.
Top of it.
No, I had the third season. What is it? Fourth season came out.
Fifth.
Yeah, I mean everyone's seen the first and second season if you ask them, but who is still hanging on to Stranger Things? Apparently, everybody is still like hooked on the show, even though they
you also have to remember that the new episodes that came out were literally like movies. They were like an hour and 20-minute long.
But they're only that long because they include a bunch of trash that doesn't need to be in them.
Yeah, I will say that
it's a cinematic experience, except you just didn't do the right cutting that you needed to do.
They totally overdid it in the last ones, but people are still invested in that property, I think.
And they're like going to be gray-haired.
Yeah, eventually they'll just be old people.
It sounds like they're going to stop at 5, right?
I think they should have stopped. I mean, they went.
Talking about spin-offs now.
It sucked.
Oh, great.
Starting at season 3.
I mean,
season 3 was where it should have just stopped.
Not everything needs a spin-off.
I actually I thought season 3 brought it back because I was a little bit disappointed in 2, and 3 brought it back. Oh, here we go.
Another crisis party.
Yeah. Crisis party.
It's impossible to ignore.
Here. You need to get one that shoots back. So
that's a good idea.
Guests can fire back at you guys.
They wanted it to be pointed directly at us, and I was like, that is a blinding.
That is not happening. Not with us. So look,
workplace hazards.
None of it. The thing is also none of it feels special. Like these properties, when Marvel was releasing a couple movies a year, and Star Wars released I mean, back in the day, not even every decade. Like you'd have a trilogy every. How long was it between the first trilogy and the second trilogy?
Like the 80s to 2000
early,
or whatever.
Yeah, when
it's Phantom Menace, I think.
So none of it feels special, and it's a product of an oversaturated market.
I don't like that. I don't like that excuse. That's the excuse that Bob Iger was using.
I think it works for Marvel. Maybe not for Star Wars, but I think it works for Marvel.
I don't like that excuse in general at all. And I think Kevin Feige actually gave a really good answer to that on this podcast appearance he did maybe last week or early this week, where he's like, well, does anyone say that about like doing novel adaptations? It doesn't really make any sense. And I kind of agree with him. I don't think oversaturation is like a thing. I know people say they're tired of superhero movies, but at the same time, like those same people might go out and say like when you actually get like a really good one, they're like, oh, that was really good. So you can still do that. I think it's more of the issue with Marvel and Star Wars now is clearly quality rather than quantity at all. I mean, their quality is absolutely garbage.
My argument is more like because of the saturation in the market that they are not putting the best writers on a couple of projects. They're spreading out a bunch of bad writers over a bunch of projects.
Well, they think they're the best writers.
It's more than oversaturation. It's a breaking of trust.
Yeah.
Why would we give Andor a chance, even if it is genuinely good, after watching Obi-Wan?
Right. It's the exact same thing that happened with Solo. So Last Jedi came out.
Yeah.
Solo came out like June, right after Last Jedi came out in December or whatever. And no one went and saw it. It was the first box office bomb, whatever you want to call it, for Star Wars. And I think you're exactly right. People were willing to give Obi-Wan a chance. You saw that kind of with the Nielsen numbers when they came out, slowly declined over time. A little bit of a bump at the end when people started streaming all of the episodes because Nielsen tracks every single show when they release their numbers. It's not just that episode's release.
Yeah.
So you saw a little bit of that coming back up. But then, Andor, people are saying Andor is good, but like I don't really care.
But by this point, does it matter?
Obi-Wan would destroy any kind of they've been destroying it since Force Awakens, honestly, when they kill Han Solo, turn him into a bad dad, and all the dumb stuff they have in there before you even get to Last Jedi with Luke Skywalker throwing his lightsaber over his shoulder. I think it's more of a story quality standpoint, and I can even argue from that perspective with from Last Jedi from Force Awakens to Last Jedi. In Force Awakens, you have Hux, like the basic, like the main, like First Order guy. He literally gives this like Hitlerian, like evil speech, like, and then blows up 5 planets with like his weapon or whatever. And he's like a dude to be reckoned with. He doesn't take crap from Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren seemingly kind of has like a rocky relationship with him, but he respects him. What happens in the next, in the very opening scene of The Last Jedi? The dude's getting prank called by Oscar Isaac, like literally prank called, like in Star Wars. And it's like, what are you even doing?
It goes to what you're saying about not taking your own material seriously.
Right.
They don't.
Exactly.
They don't. If they, it's maybe it's because these people don't actually have respect for the projects they're working on.
No, they don't.
They don't. Like
They
just
don't.
like the Rings of Power.
Yeah.
They don't have any respect for the place from whence the material came.
And where does that come from?
It's just
Because
lip
there's no
service.
shortage of people that do care out there, right?
They cast these types of writers now. They don't just
Is
hire
it just
them.
this
they cast
insulated club that
Yes.
you can't
Yeah.
get in unless you meet the benchmark of hating the properties?
But also, I think what it is, I think a big part of this
it's all
is,
It doesn't
agenda.
make sense.
but also,
No, they have it. No, it does make perfect sense when you look at their websites and it shows you what their agenda is. They want to have like 50% minorities by X year, and that's on like
We're
Disney's
gonna get
website.
to that with the Daredevil.
Yeah,
but it's not just that. I think part of it is also
yeah, that's part of it though. Like
Yeah.
they admit that that's part of the agenda, and then like not only do they want that behind the screen, they want that in front of the screen, but it's also all of that stuff has to be in the shows too. I mean, we had all those leaked stuff from Reimagine Tomorrow where they're literally saying they're putting in their not so secret gay agenda. We have emails from Bob Chapek saying like he's putting all of this stuff in there in the movies. Like they
get
readily
giddy
admit
about it.
Yeah, they
They're
tell
like,
you what they're doing.
They're like little goblins.
Yeah.
Well, beyond just the identity politics, I think there's actually an argument to be made that if you're a mediocre writer, right, and you get hired on to this massive franchise created by someone of immense talent, there's some resentment there because you know that you're not going to be able to be a caretaker to this property the way that you actually need to do the story justice.
Potentially. I mean, I think there's lots of people that would be honored to
But the
take
ones
care
they
of it.
hire are not.
Yeah, clearly.
Ah!
And that's because of their hiring
That was
practices,
a lot.
right? Their hiring practices aren't based off of whether or not the person is going to respect the property, honor the property, actually has a good idea on where they want to go with that property. Their hiring practices are based off of their race and politics and sexual identity and gender identity and whatever other identity you want to put in there that they've put into their
Or nepotism.
And the end result is that we get tons of buzz. There's tons of articles written about Star Wars. There's tons of I love the propaganda articles. Those are my favorite. The CBR, the Screen Rant, the CBR.
It's the same company, right?
It's all
Valnet, which is from Canada.
So it's
Damn Canadians.
And they run Game Rant too.
I love those articles where it's like, why Reva's the best Star. She's the most powerful Star Wars character in the last 20 years. My favorite was this one recently that was, it says, why Captain Marvel has been voted the most inspiring Avenger. And I'm like, I can't wait to see. Yeah, this is so the metric was that Air Force enrollment is up. Therefore, she is since 2019 when the movie came out. So apparently, everyone who enrolled in the Air Force did so because they think that Carol Danvers is just the greatest.
That's some correlation.
Yeah,
there.
fantastic. Like I love the propaganda articles because I just read them and I'm just like, I can go to now 5 other sites.
I don't even think of her as an Air Force pilot.
Yeah,
like I guess she's in the plane for a little bit,
but not for very long.
Her Monica is or Monica's mom or whatever.
Who is
Maria
Rambeau.
right?
Yeah,
I think,
they did Maria Rambeau. So, but it's just funny because then you go to 5 other sites and they have like their own version of it, where it's like,
it's
why?
just reworded very subtly.
They do that. Well, they do. The politics does the same thing where they just rewrite articles because it's all fake. The world we live in isn't even real anymore, guys. If you're experiencing it through a screen, it's fake. I'm probably a lizard person too.
I'm definitely not a lizard person.
I could definitely
Don't group us in here.
I could definitely be a lizard person.
Do you have any kind of do you have the surgeon on call? Like,
we're gonna get
figure it
clips
out.
where they edit our eyes to start like shifting like the reptilian eyes.
Yeah. So it's just for me, Star Wars. Like, and the thing is, I'm more of a DC guy. Like, I
like
don't,
DC.
I don't really care about Marvel. Like,
I'm more DC than Marvel too.
We probably miss out on a lot of stuff to cover because I get like they're like talking about Ant-Man and Quantumania. I'm like, I don't care. I can't bring myself to care.
Well, we're
dude.
gonna have to.
We're
care
gonna
if
no, we're gonna
watch
review it.
it.
We're gonna review it.
Yeah.
But it's like when I see endless CGI fest, like
The Shazam trailer that looks like endless CGI.
It's
I
more
love-
than just
I
that.
love
It's
it.
like replacing every white male with at least a female, but usually a female of color.
Yes.
Because reasons.
Look, I'm okay with Shazam. I like Shazam.
Did you see the new trailer though? It's literally just a CGI fest.
Is it the same one, the one
They-
with the Eminem song?
They dropped it like 2 days ago.
Yes.
Maybe
okay,
yesterday.
Yeah. Look, I have no problem. I love Zachary Levi in that role.
I
think-
love the first Shazam.
I love the first Shazam movie, but in general, DC is even more of a dumpster fire. There's a great Critical Drinker video that just came out called Production Hell, the entirety of DC of the DCEU.
Yeah.
Normally he does this series called Production Hell where he goes through, like, he did it with Waterworld. He does it with a lot of movies that just go through particularly
Like movies.
long
They're in
production
limbo,
process
yeah.
or that take forever to get made or have a particularly hard time getting made. And it's just the entire DCEU. And it's funny too because I was always one of the ones who, like, I thought they were going to be okay. Like, I was like, be gritty, be different, and they just couldn't.
But then they hired Joss Whedon to replace Snyder.
Yep.
And then they whatever they did to the Suicide Squad cut. They should never even, like, Suicide Squad shouldn't have been greenlit. They are not like A tier.
Yeah. I love the new Suicide Squad movie. I love the James Gunn Suicide Squad movie. And the funny thing is,
I don't know. I don't like James Gunn movies for the most part. I do like the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie,
Yeah.
but that's the only thing I think I actually enjoy from him because I thought the second one was subpar.
we'll hold off on the DC discussion because we've got places to go. Let's we will be
Yes.
talking about that next, but let's do some super chats.
Okay. Matt's S-Box Emporium said $2 to inspire a hostage party.
Well, let us hope.
A
X-
hostage party?
Yeah.
You will see.
Oh.
I don't know if it's actually going to happen, but at the end of the show, sometimes they just keep sending super chats, so
To
we're
keep
held
us here
hostage.
so that we're not allowed to
Oh,
leave.
okay.
Yeah.
I thought there was gonna be like people coming in.
That'd
and,
be
like,
cool, too.
Keeping me hostage.
No.
No, thank goodness. X said, "How many for Mary to dye her hair super red?" I don't know. I don't think most of the viewers would like that anyway.
To look like Vera.
I've
Very
already
dark.
dyed my hair red before. I'm kind of over it.
I once saw a picture of Mary with like jet black hair, and it was extremely
while.
off-putting for me.
Is blonde your natural color?
No,
No, you're
I
brunette?
mean, I
Or-
just bleach it like
Okay.
all the time.
Wait, are
That's
you
what I'm doing
were you
now.
like a blonde?
It's like close enough to blonde that it's really easy to
Okay.
bleach it white. That's all. But
Okay.
it's like kind of brown. Luis Aguilar said the PCC era in 2022 that covered the three names day after day is equivalent to the Chicago Bulls championship runs in the 90s.
Yeah, goated.
Y'all been goated for real, for real.
Oh, for sure. Like. Hey, but nobody. What's the meme? It says, yeah, but nobody talks about Adam Sandler's run of movies from 1994. It's like Billy Madison.
Oh, yeah.
He's got all
They
these.
still replay all those on cable though.
Between Jim Carrey and Adam Sandler, there is a list of comedies that would be in like a lot of people's top 10 lists.
Yeah.
We did what we had to do.
Yes.
John S. said Riz equals game sex appeal.
I didn't know that.
I knew that, but I was
Sex
just
appeal.
pretending to be ignorant.
I mean, I just assumed it based on the context.
Riz Lord. Sabretooth, I'm not going to say the rest of that, said Brett is the Wizard of Oz.
That is a good name. I like it.
Wizard
Wizard
of
of
No, but
Oz.
You're not, but the Wizard of Oz is fake.
Dang it. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Maybe it was a
He's tricking you.
backhanded
He's tricking
compliment
you.
again.
Well, then you could be the Wizard King.
Yeah,
It's like
he
a
hides
Wizard
behind the
King.
screen.
Yeah.
Remember?
Like,
X.
like Zordon.
X said, I'd love watch parties how Star Wars Theory does.
I haven't watched him, but
Haven't
it
watched
would be
them
like
either.
if we're talking like if he's got the camera on
He's
him.
doing old
but-
stuff.
Yeah, like I would like to do it with a lot of older movies and stuff like that. Like I would have loved to have had Demolition Man be the first watch party and have everybody
Oh, that's a great one.
sit
That's a
down
great
and
film.
watch the masterpiece that is Demolition Man.
Yeah.
I'm a big Wesley Snipes fan. I'm actually pretty close to a Wesley Snipes stan.
I like a lot of the old Arnold Schwarzenegger films too.
Yep, him and Stallone.
Running Man. That's
Yep.
Stallone stuff is great too.
Yep.
Yeah, and obviously I like the Man, Denzel.
Yeah,
Like, I don't think I've seen
I think
a
he's my
bad
favorite
movie.
actor of the generation.
he's super.
Like when you talk about like and also what I would put in the rare category of someone who does villain and hero
Yeah.
equally well.
American Gangster, and then Man on Fire.
American Gangster is an underrated classic.
Dude, that film is, if you like crime movies,
Yes.
like that film is just boss.
And an incredible soundtrack.
Yeah.
An incredible soundtrack. Like, that's one of those ones that, in fact, here we go. Brett recommends, guys, we need a soundtrack. I was going to recommend New Jack City today, which is Wesley Snipes, and Chris Rock is in it playing a crackhead. It's incredible. But instead, I'm going to say American Gangster. That is an absolute classic. Him, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, because he plays the cop.
All of Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Yep.
A lot of there's
brother.
Idris Elba is in it for a few minutes before meeting a tragic ending.
I don't remember. Is he the one who gets shot in the street?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. Like you have to see it. It tells a great story and a rare example of a movie that goes from both perspectives, but you don't feel like you're ever too much into one story and then not the other. Like, it's very clear that Denzel Washington is the star of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
That Lucas is the main character, but then you get the story of
You get the subplot with Russell Crowe's character, like trying to hunt him down, right?
Yep, and his
relationships and stuff.
his wife is very feisty ex-wife.
You get that juxtaposition with Denzel's too, yeah.
It's great. Everyone needs to see it.
AirTest00 said, I use Instagram to look at cats.
Hey, nothing wrong with that.
Fair enough. Joe Schmo32 Electric Boogaloo said, Brett is to hosting podcasts as Ben Affleck is to playing Batman.
Here, that is open.
Is this actually another backhanded compliment?
He put fire emoji, so I'm assuming he's with me and thinks that Affleck was a good Batman.
I think Affleck was a fantastic Batman.
Yes! Where's Dane? Take that,
Dane hates
incel.
Why does he not? What is his argument?
I don't know, because he's Dane and he just doesn't know
'Cause he's
great
a
Batman when he
contrarian,
sees
maybe?
it.
I mean, he was literally he was doing Snyder should have just adapted Dark Knight Returns, which I think is what he probably wanted to do.
Well, we also lost out on that Arkham, like the Escape from Arkham one they were going to do with Deathstroke in him.
Oh,
with
the
Ben
Batman.
Affleck.
Yeah. Zack Snyder, I actually really like his adaptations because they're like Watchmen, 300, like those are fantastic. Like he should do that. He should just stick to that.
But the thing is, the reason why I had a lot of love for those movies when they first came out is we were in the height of Marvel hype at that time, and for a franchise Marvel that refuses to take itself seriously, I enjoyed someone who took himself almost too seriously. Like, I don't need a 9-minute 120 frames per second shot of an orange falling to the ground, but I'd rather have that than saying, half the world's gonna die.
Yeah.
Like that happened in the Justice League
know.
movie. It's so bad. It's so bad.
I never understood why people were panning Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice when Civil War basically came out at the same time, and I was like, these films are like almost extremely similar, and they both have the same issues where their villains don't really do a good job of like getting them to fight each other.
A breakdown of the same thing.
They're almost one-to-one. I do think that Civil War had a better subplot with Black Panther, and that's probably why people like the Civil War movie a little bit better. But the fight scene between Batman and Superman is great. Just how you get to it didn't make any sense, and like especially like kind of coming in knowing who these characters are. It's like, oh, I'm gonna send you some dirty pictures and like you're gonna go fight Batman. Like, okay.
There's the Lex Luthor was the Lex Luthor part of it was very, very weak. In general, but like I don't think they needed to bring in I don't even think they needed to team up at the end. I don't think they needed to do that.
No, they should have, like after Man of Steel, like they have him like kind of face off with the government, but you should have done something where it should have been a Dark Knight Returns adaptation where Superman has become basically a pawn of the government, and that's why he goes to fight Batman, who's leading a resistance against like the tyrannical government.
It's not me. They'll just send someone else. Who do they send after you? But the thing, what I wanted to do, and I always tell people this, I thought they should do, like, originally I thought it was like, look, they have a big enough cachet of heroes with big enough name recognition that they don't need to do the solo films maybe like Marvel did. But the more I thought about it, I thought
to build it up.
I thought what they should have done is done everyone but Batman and leave Batman as the Thanos of that world and just do post-credit scenes of Batman preparing to fight Superman. So you just
That could have been cool.
Like, and
like
then
you just see like Affleck doing like the workout or whatever.
You don't even need to do Affleck. Like if you want to wait to cast, you can show just behind the headshot. So at the end of one movie, you show him he's found kryptonite in the ocean. He's got it circled on the map. You never have to leave the Batcave.
Right.
You can do all of it from the Batcave. It's him circling that. It's him looking up old articles about the Atlanteans and stuff like that. You have a million ways you could do that, and they jumped the gun.
The only issue with that is you don't have the Justice League without Batman.
But I'm saying they build up to that. Like you build up and you do Batman versus Superman 3rd or 4th, and then you do Justice League 5th because you've done your Flash movie, you've done your Wonder Woman movie,
I see what you're
you've
saying
done
now.
all of these movies. And the idea was that so you do Flash first, then you do Aquaman, then you do Wonder Woman, and at the end of the Wonder Woman movie, she is the one who walks into the Batcave at the end of it saying, "There's a threat. We need your help." And that threat is Superman, who at this point has become a pawn for the government, and they don't have a way to take him out.
Yeah, basically doing he's already injustice.
Yes, that was what I was hoping they would do. But like I said, that takes like a decade's worth of planning and self-control that Warner Brothers was never going to have.
Self-control.
They definitely didn't have it because they kept going through new executives like every 3 years.
Yep. Jeff Johns is ousted. Walter Hamada's ousted. Yeah. They were better off working with.
Only has like a 5-year contract, but he says he doesn't even have anything in production right now, so it takes like a year or two to get like things ramped up. Maybe they can get things going quicker, who knows, but he might be gone within like 3 years.
We'll see.
Bobcat said, remember, Belle Delphine was not the first to sell bathwater. Shoko Asahara did the same in the 90s to finance his doomsday cult. Shinrika?
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Wouldn't surprise me.
It's harder when you don't have the internet to do it. Alejandro Reyes said, all my wrestling knowledge comes from an old YouTube group called Super Best Friends Play. The sport seemed so stupid, albeit maybe in a fun way to some people.
I think that everybody, there's art in everything, right? And to the wrestlers, what a wrestler considers a great match isn't always the same thing as what like a fan would consider a great match. The story I always tell is like Stone Cold Steve Austin's favorite like accomplishment was like when he came back from injury for WrestleMania 17, he'd broken his neck 2 years prior, had years of time that he had to prep to return. He had to get better. And his big accomplishment was that when they finished like a 30-minute main event at WrestleMania, he pops up off the mat and he's not out of breath. His big accomplishment is that he finished the whole main event and he was in great ring shape after coming back from a broken neck, because a lot of times they talk about how you can't simulate ring shape through training. You just have to wrestle constantly.
Yeah, it's like when players come back from injury.
Yes.
Like I follow the Washington Capitals, pretty big hockey fan. Haven't watched as much this year, but Nick Backstrom just came back from like what most people would have thought was a career-ending injury.
Yeah.
And obviously the Caps have like sucked when he's sucked a little bit since he's been back, but that because he's not in game shape and he's just not up to speed and ready to go yet. And that takes some time. That takes a couple games.
Yeah.
Could take depending on the injury, could take a little bit longer.
Sketch Therapy says wrestling isn't a sport; it's a performance art. Yes, well, to Vince McMahon, it's sports entertainment.
Yeah, I agree. It's not a sport.
It's look, that's just it's a shorthand. It's an activity. It's a physical activity. Yeah.
Greg Duvier said Triple H is still head of creative.
Good. Like he's the perfect example of like all the complaints we have about Marvel or about even Rings of Power. This is exactly what you need to do right. You put somebody who loves the business in charge of the business. So he's in charge of the creative, but he grew up wrestling. He's a student of the game. He's been a professional for 30 years. So the idea here is that Vince McMahon is old and out of touch. Triple H is younger, wrestled his whole life, loves the business, and therefore it will translate into the creative aspects of the show.
Yeah, so I don't know much about like what's going on with like modern WWE or AEW or any of that stuff, but you need good villains and you need heroes to beat the good villains.
Yep.
And I'd say that probably is true with wrestling.
Yeah, but the idea is the same. Like you don't hire people that hate it. Like that's why WWE got as bad as it did, because they hired television writers. They hired Hollywood people who don't understand the business. So they obviously did the same things to themselves that Hollywood is doing to itself.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Let's do one more and then we'll move on.
All right. Rhaegar Targaryen said, did you do it? Yes. What did it cost? Everything. Gamora talking to Brett in the Soul Stone after watching Velma.
Yeah. It feels that
Takes a
way.
lot out of you, it seems.
It does. It feels that way. All right, guys. We've got concerns. We've got concerns
Are we
about
concerned trolling?
We are. We've got concerns about Daredevil Born Again, and that is because they have hired a writer's room that just doesn't seem like the best, does it?
No. Does not look
Are they
like that
ever
way.
the best? I mean, what are you going to do? Expect a based and red-pilled writer's room anywhere these days?
No, I'm expecting them to hire the Netflix adaptation writers. That's what I'm expecting.
Yeah.
Like,
But
so,
then the Netflix adaptation would still exist, if that were the case.
But
No, the Netflix was canceled because of Marvel.
Right.
And Marvel Studios.
Right, but, I mean, put it to rest after that.
yeah,
right?
this is my
But
problem.
you can still bring the writers back from that.
So they've hired Jill Blankenship, who's from Naomi. Do you know anybody that actually watched Naomi?
No, I mean, I think as from Heel vs. Babyface reviewed it
Hey.
with Jane Theory,
Okay.
and it sucked.
Maybe Jay
According to
Longbone
them.
might have reviewed it or something like that. I'm not sure. So
Why is that a red flag in and of itself? I haven't seen Naomi.
Naomi is full of identity politics, and that's
all
a
it
That's
is.
the CW.
yes, yeah,
That's
Right.
just it.
yeah.
You know?
So and that's a Brian Michael Bendis story, right?
Yeah, he created that. It's like a pretty new story. He created it like 2018. I feel like
Yeah.
it's based off his daughter. I think.
Thomas Wong, who has, according to like the actual website that keeps track of Hollywood writers, his specialties are race, ethnic stories, sex, gender stories, and legal dramas and courtroom shows.
Yeah,
So at least the legal courtroom part makes sense.
Yeah.
So why wasn't he on She-Hulk?
Yeah,
That's
like
my
where
question.
was he? Like why didn't they hire him for
That's
She-Hulk?
exactly what you need.
David Feige or Feig, I don't know if it's Feige, has political TDS. He's got very bad Trump derangement syndrome. And then
Do any of these people not have TDS though?
No,
like
probably not.
that's to be expected. That's all I'm saying.
And even the one that
No,
you
don't
wrote
be
in this article.
surprised.
Also, by
Yeah.
the way, guys, I'm going to show this article on screen really quick here. This was written by John F. Trent.
Who's
Yep.
that?
Who's that?
I don't know.
We don't know.
Ghost Rider.
He, you listed. How do you pronounce her name? Grain.
I think it's Grain Godfrey.
So
Yeah.
she worked on seasons 1 through 3 of The Flash.
Yep.
There's a little bit of hope for optimism there because season 1 and 2 of The Flash are actually really, really good.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. They're still not in the tone of what we got for Daredevil on Netflix.
She described.
Yeah, so I don't want to pan that.
this?
It's more of the fact that she was able to write like pretty solid stuff
Yes.
with the Flash. There wasn't a lot. I didn't feel like those first 3 seasons had a lot of identity politics or beating you over the head with a
2014.
message.
It was 2013
Yeah.
and 2014. So,
Right.
like, here's the thing. From the moment that they announced Charlie Cox was coming back, I said they shouldn't. I get a lot of hate for this. I also get a lot of hate for saying that they don't need to be making Logan and Daredevil and Deadpool together. I don't think they need to do that either.
Yeah.
It was never going to be the same. They're like, oh, it's going to be the same because it's the same actor. I'm like, no, it is not. First of all, it's not. It's a different time.
Well, Deadpool 2 had a lot to be desired too.
Yeah, but the thing is look, it will never have the brutality that the first season, especially of Daredevil, had.
Right, with Kingpin basically decapitating the guy in the car door.
It's the example I always give.
Yeah.
It's my favorite scene in the whole show, and
It
I'm
just
not a
shows
person.
how brutal and evil he is.
Yeah, like and they ruined Kingpin when
Which
they brought him back.
Star Wars
for,
does that when Vader chokes people.
Yep.
But not obviously not as brutal, but you see him doing these horrible things.
But and the funny thing is, they found a way. They shot it so artfully that it's brutal and hard to watch, but not gory. Because you're watching
it's
it
so
from the
dark.
side of
Yeah.
it's very dark. You're looking at it from the side of the
Yeah.
door, so you don't actually see the head get decapitated until
Right.
it falls off under the car.
It's like in Clone Wars or Attack of the Clones. You see Jango, you clearly know that Mace Windu chopped off Jango's head, but you never actually see the blade contact. You just see the helmet and the head rolling on the ground in the next cut.
Which is funny too, because that's my biggest complaint about gunfights. Like the reason why John Wick works as well as it does, because it doesn't cut. It leaves the shot wide and shows you the head wound and shows you not even the head wound, but it shows you the contact where it happened, right? So they're not going to bring that level of brutality and violence to this. And they've already proven that they're willing to compromise his portrayal of the character through what they did with She-Hulk. Though you can make the argument
Kingpin
that
and Hawkeye too.
Yeah, and that might be worse.
Yeah. It's pretty
Kingpin
bad.
in Hawkeye is worse than Daredevil and She-Hulk.
I did watch the last episode where he fights off with Kate Bishop, and I was like, wow, this is horrible.
It's really bad. Even like the suit they give him is comical compared to like the way the white suit is tailored to him in Daredevil. Like it looks like a costume.
He wears the Hawaiian shirt, I thought.
Oh, yeah, okay, yes, okay.
Yeah, which is from the comics, which I was fine with that.
I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
But it fits the tone for what they're going for. It wouldn't have worked in.
No, because he's
Daredevil.
supposed to be a kingpin.
Yes.
Instead of like a kingpin on vacation.
And for me, this is one of those things where I just don't know if people understand that it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter that it's the same actor. It's not going to feel the same.
No, I say this all the time. The actors are replaceable. There's a lot of talented people out there that they can get to do these jobs. Whether or not, like, I think a lot of us think that of someone as a good actor is how actually good the writing is and the story is.
Yep.
Obviously, there's certain things that can be transcendent. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker comes to mind in Dark Knight.
Yeah.
I think Russell Crowe's performance in Gladiator also comes to mind. I'm not sure there's a lot of other people that could do that. So you do have things like that. That's when the Academy Awards actually rewarded people for that stuff. But a lot of times, especially on TV, I mean, most movie stars didn't do TV because TV, it
became a big thing when they started doing television.
Yeah.
Like when bigger name actors started showing up on network television.
It's like HBO for the most part, I think.
In the article, you pointed out how Charlie Cox was just kind of doubling down and coping pretty hard about what they did with Daredevil in She-Hulk.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, does it matter what he says about it?
No.
It should be about what the writers do with this character. He shouldn't have any power.
Yeah.
Right? If he has stupid
That's a good
opinions about
question.
Daredevil, but he can play the character well, who cares? We need to
right, but like that's
criticize
the point
writers.
though. Like he
He's not
just
the
went along
problem.
with it, right?
Yeah.
He's actually like defending their decisions in She-Hulk. He's defending that.
Sure.
He's defending the Walk of Shame stuff. He's
Yeah.
going along with it. Like, and I can give you a counterpoint. Henry Cavill made it very clear that he was not happy with what was going on The Witcher, and obviously he still did that, but he was still signaling pretty hard that he wasn't happy with those. And he would even like do interviews where he was like, yeah, I made the suggestion and it was a lot better than what they had going on because I literally pulled the book out and they read the book and like it's what was in the book.
He was like ready. He was prepared. He had it underlined and highlighted and everything.
Yeah.
But I mean, with the points Henry Cavill was making, or what it sounds like he criticized in a big way for The Witcher was like over-sexualization, like being objectified in that role.
Well, when you're as
I don't
handsome
know.
as Henry
I thought he was.
I mean, there were other things as well.
Yeah,
But
he made those points too. But I thought he was pretty clear, like about the narrative and stuff as well, and not staying true to
Sure.
the books.
Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to know your opinion on, elements of sexuality getting emphasized too hard in a show like that, but now we're also like criticizing the way that Daredevil's gore and brutality is going to be played down. I mean,
Brett's doing that.
Okay,
That's not my opinion.
what's your opinion?
Yeah,
on both of those
for the
elements?
brutality stuff, like I think he's right. I think they are going to tone that down, but I'm not necessarily against that. Like I said, I give the example
Then
from.
you do a different actor.
Well, you don't even
Personal opinion.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to like recast in that perfect scenario, but like I just give the point of like Attack of the Clones. Like you don't like you get a lightsaber obviously, so you have some in-universe explanation why you're not seeing the blood and gore of someone being decapitated. But I think there's lots of ways that you can be creative by not showing that, and I actually think by putting a lot of rules in place makes people like work within those rules and be even more creative. And you can still have like great stuff without having to like really show like a ton of blood and stuff like that. I mean, there's plenty of action films that don't show a ton of blood and gore and like stuff like that we all like and enjoy.
Let's go beyond then just the idea that my first point was the stuff about brutality.
Right.
But let's put it this way. If I remember correctly, it's been a very long time, Born Again, is that the storyline where Karen Page sells Daredevil's name to Kingpin for heroin?
It's Frank Miller's.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you believe that
that's how he figures out who Daredevil is.
Yeah. So I don't believe for a second that they're going to give me a storyline where Karen Page is a heroin addict and sells her the fact.
No,
that
this is what Disney and Marvel do all the time. They give you they tease you with like the bait and switch, the member berries, as Gary says.
The name doesn't even matter because they're not using the story.
Born Again is literally just the member berry for people who like the comics to try and get them in. But I have no hope that they're
No.
actually going to do anything similar to that story whatsoever.
It would be
from the
like them
comics.
doing like The Dark Knight Returns, and then it's just not that, and then
Right.
they just make something completely
Or
different.
they do Killing Joke in the animated form, and they have some like ridiculous sex scene with Batman and Barbara Gordon in the beginning of the film. It's like, what in the world is this?
Dude, it's like I think that's what bothered people, because a lot of people are. It's what will bother people. Like, I saw Born Again, I'm like, there's no way they're doing that story. Like, there's no way they're doing that story.
They're absolutely not going to do
like
that story.
it's which is worse.
I mean, he's already talking about the tone here.
Yeah.
That the tone is going to still probably be lighthearted.
It's a little
That's what
bit
he
lighter.
expects.
Appealing to a younger audience.
And
How
That
young
too.
are we talking?
I don't know. 22?
No, they're talking about Marvel young, which means they're people our age, but they're mentally 20. Like they're
Because it
people
seems
my
like
age. but
they
they're-
want to be cool to teenagers right now, and it's not working.
It does
Yeah.
not work. Teenagers don't care about this crap.
This strategy keeps on failing, but they keep pushing and pushing it.
I mean, I think it could be. I think that like that Born Again story is a timeless story. There's a reason why it's one of I haven't seen a chart on this, but there's a reason why Marvel's constantly reprinting it, because they're constantly selling it. So people are clearly buying it, and I wouldn't say that like the same person who bought it when he was 15 who already has the copy or whatever, and he's 30 now is going to go out and buy another copy. Maybe he is, but maybe it's for his son or a family member or something like that. But like, I would assume that like new people are reading these stories and getting into them and being interested in them. So this is the thing that I always say with like the Marvel or DC stuff. They already have a plethora of successful stories.
Yep.
All you have to do is really just go back and adapt them and maybe make some tweaks here and there to maybe you can like bring some more interconnectedness, but it's already there. They already have like great stuff.
Which is funny because like, do you
And
remember?
instead they ignore it and they want to do Miss Marvel.
Do you remember when Kathleen Kennedy said like we don't have 80 years of stories like Marvel does?
That was so insulting, because if you like, you have no idea how insulting that is, because if you actually go back and look at the Star Wars website, she's literally quoted when they're talking about canceling. I always get this wrong. I think it's expanded universe. I always like get the E wrong, how they describe it. The expanded universe. She's actually quoted in there as saying like, these things are still going to be around. Like, she's in that press release talking about how like she knows they have all of this stuff, all of the comics, all of the novels and everything. So
They
then
just
she's
lie.
coming out and saying this. She's just like, I don't know if she was trying to do it to appease an investor or something like that,
Yeah.
but it's not that hard to figure out like, hey, this is still on StarWars.com. Are you serious?
Yeah, and it's just they have all of this history, they have all these stories, but the writers don't want that. Like we always talk about, Mary, they're too vain, and they think they know better than the people who came before them.
The Rings of Power people are the
Yeah.
perfect example, because they actually admitted how all of Hollywood writers, for most of Hollywood writers, think.
Yeah.
They think that they can write the novel better than the person who actually wrote it.
Yeah, and that's insulting.
Yeah.
It's extremely insulting. So, like, look.
Which is what I actually like about Zack Snyder, because I actually think he does a really good job of adapting these properties for the most part, one for one. And I actually think the Watchmen story that he did in the film with Dr. Manhattan being like the main catalyst for everything instead of the squid monster, I actually think that works better.
That's interesting. Is
Yeah,
it like-
I actually like that I think that theme is more interesting to explore than the squid being kind of like a third party. And I get that why Alan Moore was coming from that.
Yeah.
But I think I like it. I like Dr. Manhattan being manipulated and being used as that catalyst better.
We're also not going to get Deborah Ann Wool as Karen Page, and we won't get Eldon Henson as Foggy.
Yeah.
Like they were a very
that's what it looks
important
like.
part, which is sad too. Eldon Henson played Fulton Reed in Mighty Ducks.
Yeah, Mighty Ducks, man.
As a Minnesotan, that's a big part of my childhood.
Yeah, his co-star Sean Weiss, fantastic redemption story,
Yeah.
was doing all kinds of hard
He's
drugs
a
out in
meth-
California, was breaking into people's homes and stuff. He got clean, and he's actually going to be in a new movie called Jesus Revolution
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
with Jonathan Rumi.
Yep. He's got a big story. He's got a crazy story. Like,
Yeah.
from his mugshot to everything that changed.
He looked so terrible, and now he actually looks healthy, and you can tell he physically changed.
Yep. He.
You can see how his mental process
No.
has actually changed his physical.
I'm in
look.
recovery, so his story rings very true to me.
Yeah.
Like crazy true to me. So he man, they could have gotten him on that. But Deborah Ann Wool was great in that show.
Yeah, I
we're
love
not
her as
going
Karen
to
Page.
get, and we're definitely not going to get the Punisher, at least not in the same iteration.
No.
They'll probably do that lame one they're
They've
doing
been-
now.
Yeah,
with the hand.
That's not the Punisher.
No,
It doesn't
it-
even have the same like design.
No, they changed the logo, right?
They're never going to
Because
do.
the wrong people had it as a bumper sticker.
Yeah, you can't let those alt-right Yahtzees have one thing. They have to take it away.
They're never going to do a proper Punisher. I mean, they're trying to cancel Mike Baron because he's trying to do like his version of the Punisher.
Private American?
Yeah, Private American.
We got in
did
trouble
talk about
with
Private
our
American
chat
on the show.
because Mary and Dane and me, I think I defended it more, but I thought the story felt
we were talking
bland.
about the way they've
pitch,
been
the
censored
pitch.
and banned from
Yeah.
crowdfunding and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And then Dane and I got more onto the content itself and what we
Okay.
thought of the pitch for it. And we just thought it was cringe.
Oh,
It was just very heavy-handed political, which...
At the border.
A lot of people complain about entertainment being too political these days, but then eat this kind of thing up when it's like literally talking about the immigration crisis and talking about real world politics in the pitch for the story.
I don't know. I'll counter you with Man on Fire. That's literally dealing with Mexican kidnappers and drug dealers. And that's kind of what
2004, different time.
And that's what he
Definitely.
But it's still, I mean, it's still the same, like,
Yeah.
right?
God, I
Sure.
love that movie
Sure, he's
too.
trying to pitch it to people of like a right-leaning Republican persuasion that want to have a tough border. But like the themes in that story are stuff that are still like prevalent. Like it's like a crime story. It's like having any kind of police
I felt
drama,
like
which we've been
it could
talking
have
about
been-
before. It's people are coming over and doing heinous acts to other people, like beating them up.
Yeah.
Like,
I thought the art was gorgeous. The art is fantastic
Yeah, it looks pretty
in
good.
that. But like to me, I thought the pitch could have been more generalized to not feel like it went that way. Like, and I pushed, I
Sure.
tried to push back. I mean, granted, we weren't reading it. Like
Yeah.
we were just talking about the pitch. I was like,
Right.
I think the art is great, but I think if I was just browsing Indiegogo or wherever it was that it was on at that time, I don't think it was on Kickstarter. Right? Like it was like I was like, if I was browsing there,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been interested unless I was of a certain persuasion. I thought
did you
maybe
read The Punisher?
long time, like early,
Okay.
like yeah, like I know that he wrote.
Yeah,
like, yeah. So it's just like in general though, like the story's good, but I just thought the pitch could have been done a little bit more neutrally.
Okay, sure.
Like because also there's plenty that doesn't make it in the pitch that's in the stories. Like it's
Right, you're not
like,
giving it- you don't
'cause
wanna
part of
give
it's
your story away.
he lost a wife or a daughter to the drug war, right? I think in the
I
in the
think so.
pitch.
I mean,
Like-
he's literally he's Castle as
Yeah.
a Cuban.
But my idea was
American.
like that, like they should have focused the pitch on that aspect of it and less on the at the border.
There was so
Like,
much about like the border crisis, talking about it, how it is in reality, and not a lot about the main, like about the protagonist.
in the in-world story, and I
Yeah.
felt like the pitch should have been about the in-world
That is the
story.
in-world story, though, right? The in-world story is that he's going to the border to like take down a bunch of like drug cartels who are killing people
Yeah.
and doing all kinds of heinous things.
It's because
I know.
Sicario is like my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies of all time, and Sicario is about revenge. But it's
Yeah.
about revenge at the border, with the backdrop being that the person he's seeking revenge from just happens to be the leader of a multinational cartel.
Right. I think the I haven't seen it, but I think that's what happens in the most recent. Oh my goch, I'm blanking on it. Stallone's Rambo, right? He's
Taking
taking a bunch of
he goes
cartel
to,
people out.
His like it's not his family, but like he's like living with like this family and a kid. Yeah,
Right. And
I don't
it's-
want to
it's
spoil
cartel
it, but
people.
Yeah,
I mean, that movie's like
somebody dies and he goes to exact revenge.
right.
Yeah.
And he gets, but the person's killed at the hand of like a drug cartel, right?
Have you seen
Okay.
Tulsa? Have you watched Tulsa King?
I haven't watched any Tulsa. I heard it's really good though.
What? Yeah.
I haven't seen it, but I heard it's good.
Mary may not be, but I am a Tulsa King stan here. And
Did we review the pilot?
We didn't review it.
We
Like,
didn't review it. It was only because Dane was like, I
Do you
didn't
like
have time to
crime
watch
stuff? Do you like people do you like Law and Order type stuff?
it. Sometimes.
I think
don't
she-
know. I mean, I'm not
I'm the-
solely.
You're not watching
into-
NCIS and CSI.
I've
and-
watched those things. Like I've watched a lot of crime shows, but
Right.
I don't know. It's not like my specific interest.
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe that's why.
All right.
Let's go to Super
let's go to
Chats.
Super
We've got a
Chats.
lot
We got
to
a
get
lot.
through.
Let's get through them.
X said, "Who's Julia Fox? Is that the Hollyweird lady?"
Yes.
Yeah.
You got it right, sir.
That's who I asked when they told me we were going to cover that story. I was like, who's that?
Johnny sent us like an emoji.
Thank you.
It says, "Thanks for being you."
Oh.
That's sweet.
Thank you, Johnny.
Sketch Therapy said, for recommending Hollywood Was Always Red, must watch.
Yep.
That's the
And then
Razor
he
Fist
said, Hollywood Was
video,
Always
right?
Red is a must watch, well resourced, And he said, praise Razor Fist, praise Hollywood was always red.
I love Razor Fist. I like it. I love that it's very clearly like a character in a way. Like it's a performance. It's him.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
it's a performance. Kind of like pro wrestling.
That's why you watch Andrew Tate.
Yes, it's I look.
Same thing.
I get a kick out of Andrew
I don't know
Tate.
if that's a performance or not.
I get a kick out of a lot of it's a performance. I think that
Probably a mix of both.
Yes,
Yeah.
I think that like when I listen to him trash Meghan Markle, I get a huge kick out of it. But like then I hear him talking about why Apple Watches are bad for you, and I laugh. It makes me laugh. He's like, back in the day, nobody counted their steps. Nobody needed to count their steps. What do you need to count your steps for, you idiot? Like he's
You can count.
I mean, he's
you
not
can count
wrong.
on your own.
no, he's like, why do we need to do that? It's like he
not wrong.
makes ridiculous points that are like logical
Right.
and make sense. That's what I'm saying. It's a performance. It's like
Yeah.
you don't like think that way normally. Like I always thought that like his like heavier handed stuff that is obviously kind of objectionable is marketing to market his brand to the edgelords that like him a lot. Like it's like you're a
I don't know, guys. Didn't you just get arrested?
yes, he did. But it's just like you're
When your
attacking
edgelording goes too far.
Yes. You know,
Yes.
like a free Cobra, I say.
Rhaegar Targaryen said, primetime propaganda makes Brett's point very well. It's a book from 2012 that observes how TV was used the last 70 years to push the envelope on leftist ideals while discriminating against the right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm not disputing that. I 100% believe that's exactly what they've done.
They are absolutely okay. Let's use the example we were talking about earlier. We before the show, me and John were going back and forth about TV shows. You mentioned Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
Blue Bloods, starring Tom Selleck. There's a scene where he's talking to Dave Ramsey as the mayor, and he says he's talking about how he could fire Tom Selleck.
Wait, there's a character named Dave Ramsey.
No,
it's
that's
not the financial guy.
That's the actor.
Oh,
It's
there's
the,
an actor
The
named
actor's
Dave-
name's Dave
Oh.
Ramsey.
Just a coincidence.
Oh, there's a financial guy named
He's
that
the
too.
mayor, and he says he mentions that he could fire Tom Selleck at any point. Tom Selleck is the police chief of New
Right.
York's of the NYPD, and he says it has nothing to do with the fact that you use that you. The left-leaning mayor use me, the right, the just slight of right, just right of center police chief as a person to motivate the other side of the aisle to vote for you.
Right.
Well, in this show, he's just right of center, and the family is devout Catholic, but Tom Selleck argues with a nun about why they don't care about why they care so much about gay marriage. That is an idea of someone
Right.
who is portrayed as right-leaning, portrayed as devout Catholic. They go to church every Sunday. He goes to confession, but argues with a nun
That's
about gay marriage. Why he
A
thinks
person who doesn't exist.
that's. I'm saying that is
Right.
a perfect example of them pushing ever so slightly,
100%.
and it's
Don't
why
you relate to this?
and it's why I laugh that they've gotten so blatant with their propaganda, because they did way more. They accomplished way more. It just took longer by doing it little by little.
Yeah, they've overplayed their hand.
Yep.
Unusable Alpaca has a spicy one. He said, should my potential Lauren Boebert fanfic include her bathwater in some way? Advice only Brett can give.
The answer is yes. Yes, it should. All Lauren Boebert fanfic is good Lauren Boebert fanfic, I'm sure.
I disagree.
I am the resident.
Disavow.
Yeah.
I am the resident.
We both disavow.
I am the Lauren Boebert stan. It's become a thing. It started as a joke, and I'm just gonna lead with it. We're just going with it.
Gonna have to say a prayer here.
I love me some Lauren Boebert. Even
He's
if
simping.
yeah,
He's
just
simping
just
hard.
a little bit. Okay, guys. Here, how about this? I'll push back for once. I was looking at her Instagram earlier, purely for research purposes, and she has one that's really cheesy that says like. You say a lot about me, but I'll never go woke. It was really cringy. So she's not
Sounds pretty
immune from
cringe.
cringe. She definitely cringes. from
Pop
time to
culture
time.
crisis will never go well.
We'll never go woke like Hollywood, guys.
T-Bone said, Brett, Moon Knight was great, but needs a second season. Werewolf by Night could have been better. Both are supposed to be in Midnight Suns in the future.
I heard that. See, that's weird. I heard people loved Werewolf by Night.
I heard a lot of people who liked old Hollywood and like old monster films, like Universal's old monster stuff, liked it. I didn't hear a lot of other people saying they liked it.
Hobbit said, this guy brought up the On Fairy Stories essay. I like this guy. He has the Hobbit seal of approval.
That's right.
Yeah, a lot of people like they don't like the fact that we're not big Tolkien stans. Like we're not Tolkien enough.
I would say I like Tolkien, but I am not a stan. I wouldn't claim that.
I don't like the term stan, but like
I
I'm
love the
definitely a
term stan.
huge Tolkien fan. And the one thing that Rings of Power did is it let me like really do a lot of research more into a lot of his writings and like the explanations of everything that he did. So I'm even a bigger fan now of Tolkien than I was before. So I can thank Rings of Power for that because of how trash their show was.
Yep.
Maybe it'll unintentionally point people to the other stories.
Hopefully, I doubt it. Like we were just talking about, right? The whole point is to subvert all the stuff that he actually had in his story. And they do that in the very first episode where Galadriel literally is about to go to heaven and she jumps off a ship and also it's insinuated that she's getting this like evil vibe from it and that's why she jumps off the ship. It's pretty sick.
Yeah, I did. I remember that scene distinctly and I did not understand it at all. I didn't understand where she was getting this evil vibe from, what is it called?
Valar.
Valar, yeah. Like,
well, the Valar are the people, but yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get that at all. Alejandro Reyes said, anyone redoing someone else's work or idea should not get the benefit of the doubt and should be scrutinized even more. It's weird to want to add to a piece of work you enjoyed, I think. To a piece of work you enjoyed?
So Tolkien actually talks about this too. I mean, he said he actually had this vision of he wanted to create this lore of England and then open it up to other people to like kind of play in it. So I'm not against that, to doing that. But if you're actually trying to do an adaptation of it, then no, you shouldn't be like adding to it. Like usually when you think of stuff like that, I think of like the Batman Barbara Gordon thing and Killing Joke, and it's just like, what in the world is going on here?
In the adapted,
the movie, the animated movie,
it was
horrible.
That's funny too because I thought the animation was fine in that.
The animation actually was good in that, and that's why it made it even more disturbing, like seeing that scene in the opening of the movie. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Hobbit said, this man quotes Tolkien and is a Star Wars nerd. He is my mood kindred.
There you go.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, this is different for superheroes, I guess, because comics have just been around for like so long. But if the original author is either dead or not involved anymore, like a George Lucas, like a Tolkien, this isn't an addition to the canon. Simple as.
It's also different for comics because comics, you're literally caretakers for a temporary period of time. There's one creator, but it's expected that multiple writers will come in
that's different,
and give their take on it.
Yeah, so is your question like, can you rephrase your question? I'm sorry.
Well, no, I mean, and I was just giving a take. I was just like, if the original author is not involved, how is this addition to the canon of anything? Like because all these Star Wars series that George Lucas is not involved in.
Right. I see
that they've even ignored his advice on.
Yeah. Well, they took his script. They took his like pitches, put them in a vault, bought them, made it seem like they were actually going to use them.
Like, psych.
Right.
And then stuck them in a vault, never to be seen again.
Right. But like this is not an addition to the Star Wars canon.
And then Pablo Hidalgo comes out and says like, "Oh yeah, those were all of George's. Those are all of George's ideas that we put in." It's like, okay.
They kind of did the same thing to Peter Jackson, even though Peter Jackson isn't the original author.
Right.
I mean, obviously his movies made the Lord of the Rings so much more relevant culturally.
Right.
And they
that's
completely
the power
shut
of television,
him out.
right? In movies.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, that's also like this is the unavoidable truth of that. For a certain level of art, it's still commerce, and in a way, it's still a business model.
Yeah. So
that's why George Orwell, his estate just approved the ability to tell 1984 from a woman's perspective.
Yep.
Because it's no longer about the art. It's no longer about the story. It's about the fact that, Tolkien's estate approved Amazon doing this. Like, it's a product.
Yeah, and these people are corrupt.
Yes.
I don't trust any of these people that run these
Like,
estates.
if somebody tells me they're giving me $200 million.
You have to, like,
I'm
someone
not
like
saying
Christopher
no.
Tolkien you can trust because he clearly was like doing so much to get his father's works out there posthumously. Like, you have all the interviews where he's like, he was really close to his father.
Yeah.
Like, he knew what was going on. He did like tons of research on getting like his father's notes out there. Was well respected, well regarded. What his father's work was very protective of it. So you have people like that you can trust. And then obviously it looks like Simon is a very different story where it seems like he's just like, give me the money. And run with it. I think there's a video where he said he didn't like Jackson's Lord of the Rings because they were too close to the actual novels. It's like, what?
Imagine saying something like that, not sarcastically.
Yeah.
Imagine saying that, like, thinking that you're going to make more money by not being more true, if that's like your main motivation.
Well, look, I mean, I said something similar about The Last of Us, that I said it was too close to the game, but I think that's a way different take when it comes to something that's inherently visual.
Right.
And has so many cutscenes and it's very cinematic compared to a novel. Like, obviously you want to stay close to a novel.
Right.
It's not visual yet.
Well, it's visual in your mind.
And just so I'm clear, I'm not saying that George Lucas is dead. I know he's not.
Yeah. He's out of the picture.
I do think it's weird that he just seems to not care that his creation is being bastardized.
He definitely does care. There's actually a video, we covered this, I don't know, 2021, I think.
Okay.
He did an appearance with his wife at some elementary school or something, and he was talking about it. He was just basically said, like, he was like defeated because he sold it. He knows he doesn't have any power, but he basically was like, yeah, they're doing whatever they're doing with it now, and that's clearly not my vision and not what I laid out, as you could tell by what I created in the original trilogy.
Not my
and stuff.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Not my Star Wars.
Yeah.
1,000 Foot Deep End said, I like John's suggestion of a money gun for the guests. Here's $5 toward a turret mounted money gun fund.
There we go.
That is such a good idea.
Like it has to have a trigger so you
Dude.
can like.
Right.
Let's go.
Alejandro Reyes said DC animated Brett.
Yeah, like somebody who just doesn't read as much anymore. I'll take the the old DC animated.
It's really good.
The
Green Lantern animated series is fantastic. Batman the animated series, Justice League Unlimited, Justice League,
Beyond.
Superman, Batman Beyond, because that ties in with Justice League Unlimited. Like, all that stuff is really fantastic. Fantastic.
I love Batman the animated series and Batman Beyond specifically.
And again, that goes back to, like, you literally had a cinematic universe waiting there for you to pluck out with Justice League Unlimited. This is something I talk about too, is you do Justice League films, you do a Justice League film, and you have, like, people kind of, like, fighting, but then you can do minor films where you spin off, like Justice League Unlimited and Justice League did in the animated show, where you can showcase those smaller characters too, and then you get those, like, movies or whatever. But you got to do it like Black Panther in Civil War, where you have, like, a good subplot and introduce the character too. Yep. But I don't know, they don't seem to have the vision for that, which they did. They previously had the vision for it, and they don't want to use that vision anymore. And
when budgets and egos that big get involved, it never works out.
Yeah, that's when you need Zaslav to just be like, hey, we have these animated shows, turn them into live action. Have at it.
Yep.
Potatoes for Seamus said, happy Friday, Brett, Mary, and guest. Hope Serge is okay. Serge's fine. He's just bald.
Why is this true? I literally have no idea what's going on. If Serge is, that'd be cool if it was.
I should just continue lying.
Is he getting a shave too?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a wager that he didn't consent to, but the fans win, always. Joseph said, explain to me black representation through white characters. Velma was created white. She always will be. That's insulting, in my opinion.
She's not even black, right?
She's Indian, like Mindy Kaling is, and it's a Mindy Kaling problem.
Yeah, like, look.
It's literally a self-insult.
My logic here is that as somebody who can turn his brain off, like, if they make James Bond black, as long as they don't
who can turn his brain off, I'm sorry.
As long as they don't make part of the storyline in the movie, suddenly he's black and they reference it. As long as there's no reference to it, I can overlook it. Because most of the time, they overlook the lore of these characters anyways. They don't mention James Bond's family lore all that much in the movies. They mention it in Skyfall a bit.
His family lore is supposed to be
landed gentry from British.
Well, he's a spy, so his doesn't have lore.
But there is in the books, right? There is as long as they don't do a disservice to it by making it into issue of modern identity politics. I'm not saying that there isn't an agenda there. I do agree that there is an agenda there. But if I have to choose between hating something entirely or finding something good to like about it because it's part of the job to go watch it, I guess I can do that. The other problem you run into is that in these cases, most of the time, unless we're talking like Catwoman, you never go back the other direction. So this will never, once it's race swapped, it ends in a trans black woman, and that's it.
Because you can't race swap in reverse. You can't go from not white to white.
No.
Then
Catwoman, they've done
people are going to riot.
Yeah, Catwoman's like the only character I feel like they've done that, because you had, oh my gosh, what's her name? Do it in the 60s.
Did they do
Eartha
it with
Kitt.
Jimmy Olsen?
So Eartha Kitt did it in the 60s. Then you obviously had...
literally went back and forth and back and forth.
In the 60s. And then you had Michelle Pfeiffer, obviously, in the film. And then Halle Berry. And then you got...
what's her name from... she's Anne Hathaway.
Anne Hathaway, and then obviously what is the new
Zoe
girl's
Kravitz.
name? Zoe Kravitz, yeah.
So it's like they've literally gone back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. But for most characters, once it's race swap, Jimmy Olsen is now black forever. They will never make him white again.
Probably,
Jetstorm39 said, Mary, why are your eyes as big as Battle Angel Alita? I don't know.
Did you watch
Alita? The way God made her.
Yeah.
Did you watch Alita Battle Angel?
I didn't.
You'd like it.
But it got a lot of hate, didn't it?
It got a lot of hate because
it wasn't Captain
the people
Marvel.
that liked it, they didn't like the people that liked it.
Yeah.
Weird.
Basically.
Because it came out at the same time as Captain Marvel, and they're like, hey, we want to support strong, independent woman. Yeah, but not that one.
Right.
That's what they said, basically. You have to like Captain Marvel, not Alita.
I don't want to read the next one because I just get clipped. Sorry.
Okay.
Gross John said, Brett, you've said many times that we are in a post-profit age and there is no consequences to these big companies losing money. Can you explain this theory, and what is John's take?
To me, it's as much of a take as it is a feeling that we watch these companies lose money every year. Peacock just lost hundreds of millions of dollars. A lot of it is coming from the streaming wars, meaning they're dumping gazillions of dollars into these streaming services that eventually have a ceiling. People are only going to have so many streaming services. If you ask Hannah Claire, she'll say only men want streaming services anyways. And it feels like every celebrity, rephrase that. Every director and every writer fails upwards. They never get bounced downwards after their projects don't do well. They make bad movies. They may not get a sequel, but the movies don't get better. We don't see any consequences for the actions of bad media. These companies are constantly losing money. Netflix is in its just had 2 quarters in a row of subscriber loss. They had to introduce an ad tier, which fell in under where they wanted it to be by about 20%. Where is the profit? Like, I don't know where the freaking actual profit is. Avatar's making billions of dollars.
Yeah, the issue I think with the profit is in the stock price.
Then we get into ESG,
the stockholders there,
and I don't know enough about ESG to talk about it competently, other than I know the basic talking points, and I don't want to speak from a place of like I don't know enough about it. I know a little. I watched a really great. I might have sent this to you, Mary. I watched a really great YouTube video called the birth of woke capitalism, and they talk about how the birth of woke capitalism is a ripple effect that came out of the 2008 financial crisis when everybody was mad at Wall Street, and these corporations were like, hey, but we're just like you. Like we care about black people too. We care about minorities too.
The 1%
we
or the
care
99%.
About, yeah, we care about the 99% too. But it was infiltrated by race hustlers and gender hustlers, and now it's become this weird neo-Marxist playbook that's being pushed into a capitalist endeavor here in America. It's like capitalism's allowed to exist because this movement has given it more life. It's just failing.
I mean, the truth is capitalism. The difference is here, capitalism exists, Marxism doesn't. Yeah. The idea of Marxism will just use capitalism as its vehicle because capitalism is the only thing that's able to perpetuate itself, actually.
We are in less poverty than we've ever been because of capitalism, but because of the greed of the 2008 financial crisis. And that was greed. Like that was
Yeah.
an inability to take responsibility for your actions and a lot of greed. But like, look, when I say post-profit, maybe it's like we have like the micro view of a macro problem because we're looking at it each and every day. And it's like every day it feels like it's another story about some property failing. It's another story about some company losing money. Disney loses money. Marvel loses money. All these companies lose money, but none of them go under because they consolidate further.
Right.
It feels like that's what I mean when I say post-profit era. It's not like it's a super well thought out idea. It's just a feeling I have from the thousands of articles we read about how nothing makes money, but everything just still exists.
And in a simplistic sense, it's just when they have a loss, like if a specific movie bombs,
Write it off.
They're totally unaffected by it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that. Yeah, so that's pretty much how I see it too. I see that like they have escape routes where they don't have to actually face the losses that they are doing. It does look like there is some movement on that. Again, I talked about it earlier with Zaslav and the activist investor with Disney. I think his name is like Letts or something. I haven't really read too much into it. I know Valiant Renegade has done a bunch of stuff on him. But yeah, that's really how I see it as well. You get people like, and you don't even have to look at the financial aspect. I think the artists that they keep hiring are like ideologues, and they don't really care about the financial stuff. They get their money and they move on. They can keep going. They get their next project or whatever. They're going to keep being insulated. It doesn't even matter if management changes or anything like that, because like you said, there is no consequences for the people actually creating the films and being the creatives.
That's where the loss of film comes into play. Look at when you
the loss of film is huge.
When
it just looks better.
I meant film the industry, but
Oh.
so the idea here is like, look, when you make a movie and you're a director, a writer, or a star in that movie, there are what are called residuals, meaning that there is bonuses in your contract if that movie makes money. We've talked about this with Scarlett Johansson because of the loss of money that she did not get on the bonuses she would have received if Black Widow had done better in the theaters. When everything is made for streaming, they're given a flat rate and they're done. Meaning there is no incentive to make a better product if you don't make more money if it does better. Imagine you're the Wednesday writers. Imagine they had found out that there was going to be like a bonus because that show did really, really well. Maybe if all of the other shows had an incentive to do as well as Wednesday, we would be getting better television, but we're not.
Yeah, if there were performance-based pay instead of a bunch of hit piece articles saying that, there weren't enough Latines in the writer's room.
It's a perfect example of like when in the comic book industry, when these awful writers say, you're not my boss. I don't write for you. I write for the comic book shops.
Right.
You're not my boss. The comic book shop buys it from me.
Right.
That's a fundamental misunderstanding of what the hell your job is as a writer whose job it is to entertain people.
I would argue it's not fundamental misunderstanding because technically DC's...
I'm giving them too much credit.
Yeah, it's DC's customer is actually the retail shops that they're selling to. It's the retail shops that then buy that product to sell to, obviously, the customer and everything.
But they need the customer to buy it so the shop will order more.
Right, so they're just trying to play semantics with you with that.
Yeah, I hate that argument.
No, it's annoying.
Alejandro Reyes said, Mary can't become a redhead. She would lose her soul. And as a poltergeist, that's all she has.
You need to keep your soul.
Right. X said, Star Wars Theory does a watch party with the chat on screen, a timer in the corner, does a countdown to start, talk at the end, doesn't talk over dialogue.
Does he actually show it though?
Probably doesn't.
I'm assuming he doesn't show the
not.
pictures. Yeah.
See, I think I would talk over it. I'm too much of a motor mouth.
That's what when I watch movies or TV shows with my wife, I will start talking about it. I was like, oh, this is horrible. What are they doing?
I'm literally like you. I don't do
that
the
in a
worst
theater though.
Person. Yeah, in an actual living room. There's if there was one person in the world you wouldn't want to watch stuff with, it's me.
Yeah,
it's me. I'm like, that guy's been in this. This guy's been in that. That scene makes no sense.
You're the guy on IMDb on his tablet, looking, barely paying attention.
I contribute to the IMDb.
My wife
section.
hated watching Game of Thrones with me because I would always criticize the writing.
Yeah.
Especially that last season.
One of my favorite things to point, whenever I watch people who love The Dark Knight, my favorite thing to point out is how the scene where Batman shows up in the ballroom makes no sense when the Joker's talking to Rachel and he says, "A little fight in you. I like that. And then Batman just appears out of nowhere. He doesn't come from the ceiling. He doesn't come from a door. He's just in the middle of the room, and they never explain how he got there because Christopher Nolan isn't really all that good at doing action.
I don't remember that scene.
It's really funny. Like so the Joker is talking to Rachel, and he grabs her by the face, and he takes Maggie Gyllenhaal's Cabbage Patch face, and he puts the knife in there.
Oh, when he is the party.
Yes, and then
Okay.
she kicks him, and he
Right.
stumbles backwards, and he goes, "A little fight in you. I love that." And then Batman's just there. No
No.
explanation how he got there.
No, he goes into the safe room.
But it's
remember?
blocked horribly because you don't actually see geographically in the room how he ended up in the middle of the room.
You don't need to know that.
Yes, you do.
No,
It makes
you don't.
no sense in that part of the scene.
Doesn't he come through the window?
No, he doesn't come through the window.
Oh.
Nope. Because the Joker shoots out the glass to
Right.
get her to drop
throw her
Rachel.
out,
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And then he just is there in the room.
Yeah, he's just in the room. He goes, "You're gonna love me."
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. I keep my suspension of disbelief for that. He like popped out from like the floor or whatever. He's got some secret.
This is
I
more
don't know.
like a
It's his
film.
house, right?
This is a film nerd. Like
Yeah.
it's not about the story. It's about the actual physical blocking of the scene and the camera
Okay.
work. So
I will say, Dark Knight has one of my favorite scenes where the criminals refuse to blow up the passengers, and the passengers refuse to blow up the criminals.
that's why I said that movie's about hope.
Yeah.
That movie actually is about it's about faith in the human condition.
Yeah.
Yep. Mary, yes, somebody's right. Somebody's Mary's eyes glazing over whenever Brett and guests talk about Batman. Mary's
I'm just reading through the super chats before we read them.
All right, let's go.
Colby Hansen said, "So we have a lizard person, a Fed, and an AI generated guest."
Yes.
AI
Who
generated.
says he's AI generated?
He knows so much about Star Wars that he
Is
has
he
to
a
be.
chat GPT?
He's got to be part of like some greater consciousness.
The Last of My Kind said, "Check out the Snyder cut of Teen Titans Go."
Okay.
Is there such a thing?
The funny thing is with all the press that the Snyder cut got, the Ayer cut makes more sense because that's the movie that got just hacked up even worse and made into a music video.
I guess. I don't know. The Justice League was pretty awful.
Did
How they treated Batman was pretty bad.
Did you see the original Comic-Con trailer for the Suicide Squad movie? To like it's the haunting song.
Yeah.
That's what
With
that movie
Harley
was.
Quinn,
With
yeah.
Harley Quinn. The one that has the scare reveal for the Joker at the end.
Yeah, I
That
saw
shows
that.
you what that movie was actually supposed to be like.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's fun and wacky, and it's got
bullshit.
rap music and that horrible Kalani song that plays when he drops Harley Quinn into the vat of acid.
You don't do Suicide Squad as like your flagship movie though, so that's I don't know. But yeah. I get you.
1,000-Foot Deep End said, "What did Brett say? Take that, you Dane cell."
I did not say that, but it's going to become a thing now. Thank
But then
you
he's
very
just
much.
gonna say, "Take that, you Brett cell." So
Doesn't have the same ring to it. Incel and Dane cell
Yeah.
seem closer than Brett cell.
Yeah.
Brett cell sounds cool.
I mean, that whole insult doesn't make sense anymore because they're using it at like married men and
Yeah.
right.
Well, it's just
a pejorative.
modern day chud.
yeah.
It's chud. Take that, you chud.
What does CHUD stand for again?
Cannibalistic humanoid underground dweller.
Oh, that actually was like an acronym?
Yes.
Crazy.
There's a movie.
I had no idea. I thought it was just a pejorative that someone came up with.
It's but it's another word for a man living at home in his basement.
Yeah.
SO said, "Always surprised at how nice Brett's teeth are. Don't know why."
Thank you.
Not a lizard person said, "Money guns go pew pew."
Yes, they do.
Got to get like a Crest deal now.
Yeah.
Or something like
Yeah.
whatever you use.
There's a
Oral B.
a YouTuber named Mike Tompkins. He used to do a cappella music where he would make the music with just his mouth.
Right.
And and he had like the whitest teeth you've ever seen. So it's like I was like, why the fact that this dude doesn't have like a Crest deal was like a tragedy nowadays with YouTube being so like you can't make money
Deal-centric.
off of you got to just do your deal that way.
Bobcat said, "Escape from LA is the best action movie."
Not Escape from New York.
I mean, there's a reason why they didn't make the third one.
What was the third one? To be Escape from Delaware.
No, it was supposed to be like Escape from Space or something.
That would have been even better.
Why is that the logical next step?
He
It's
taught that-
always space.
I don't know. That's what Carpenter was saying. He
Yeah.
just did an interview and he was like, "We're going to space."
They're remaking that too, and they're making it a woman, if I remember correctly.
That's the rumor. He
Snake
said that's.
Plissken.
We just did an article on that because he said the last he heard was they were still doing like the gender swap.
Yep.
Titanic Panic said, "Overt gore and sex is a crutch for ineffective writing in many cases."
Yes,
I agree.
I agree. But he sent that in at the time when we were talking about Daredevil. And in that show, I'd argue that they use it to enhance the tone of the
It's
of the
used to show
character.
how horrific Kingpin is.
But it's also what they do is that they take an unflinching approach to violence, and
Right.
it's carried thematically. And as far as the camera work throughout the series, there's a reason the one camera shot exists in that first season. I would argue the funny thing is in Daredevil they got more. They got more detailed and more convoluted with their single camera shots that were very, very good examples of artistic filmmaking. As he literally, so Mary in the show, every season would have one big hallway scene where it's one camera shot of Daredevil taking down like a room of dudes.
Hallway.
But then eventually he makes it down from an apartment building in season 2. He goes down the.
That's where he's at the club or whatever.
I think he's in the apartment, the same apartment where he talks to the Punisher on the roof.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So in the first season, it's just one hallway, and the camera's essentially static and moving left and right a little bit, but the shot stays wide for the most part. Mm-hmm. They got very, very convoluted with the second and third season ones. But in the first season one, the idea is that it's an unflinching look at the horrors of violence and how draining, physically exerting, and painful it actually is to see without the trickery of Hollywood camera work.
Yeah, the motorcycle bar one was pretty good.
That might be the one I'm thinking of. The
that's
motorcycle bar one. So it's like that's what I mean when I say just because, yes, 99% of the time gore and violence is a crutch. In this case, I think there was artistic merit to the way they did it.
Yeah, and I think it showed the risk that Daredevil was taking. You also they play off of it too, because you have all of these conversations he has with the priest and stuff about the decisions that he's making and all the things that he's doing that I think works really well with that. I actually think it works well in Daredevil and Punisher. Those characters are like that. Kingpin is like that. That I'm not against that. But yeah, they're not going to do that in the Disney Plus show.
Nope.
Alejandro Reyes said, what is that? DS9
Deep Space Nine.
In the Pale Moonlight, amazing story with no blood and gore, but terrible implications and mentions of war and death.
I've never seen a single episode of Stargate.
You haven't seen
never mind. No, I have seen Stargate. Okay. I've seen most of season 1 of Stargate, but I've never seen a single.
Take that back.
Yes, Star Trek.
Oh,
I'm not a big Trek person either.
I've never watched any Trek.
I've watched some Deep Space Nine, but that's about it.
I know people love it, but for me, it's just. Yeah, there's a great honest trailer where they do honest trailer for Star Trek, and it goes, it's showing us a future, and in the future, the future is woke. the whole thing, it's about it's Data talking about, it's like, I'm not a man. I don't have a gender. It's like all of the concepts.
So.
Yeah, all of the concepts in it that are very, very modern day woke were just very different back then.
X said, "Can you get Gina Carano on the show?" We would love to have Gina Carano on the show.
You think I stand for Lauren Boebert? My goodness.
He flies for Gina Carano.
So she's a big guest. She would do IRL before she would do here. She's
Probably, yeah.
she's
Don't
a famous.
talk us down.
She's a famous person.
She's done. She streamed with a YouTuber called Drunk 3PO.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you.
Yeah.
Maybe able to get in touch with him.
That would be. Well, the thing was we wouldn't want to do Zoom, so it would have to be.
In person. So. She did the whole Daily Wire thing in person.
She
was going to do Babylon B in person too, but then I forget what happened. It didn't work out. She does stuff in person though.
Not a lizard person said DC needs to bring back the animated universe. They did that way better than live. Cartoon level suspension of disbelief works better for OP DC heroes.
Yeah, he's talking about my theory about using the animated shows as to do live action. With the CG stuff, that makes up for it though. So
we are literally 10 cents from a fourth Crisis Party.
Most of the movies now are so CG heavy they might as well be animated, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's so much CGI. I have a hard time.
Literally animated.
I mean,
for the most part,
Avatar's beautiful though. It's so seamless.
Right.
It looks incredible. Then you watch the crappy Marvel, by comparison, crappy Marvel CGI, and you just can't connect. because it's
according to the
Literally, who
reports, they don't pay those
cares?
people. So
very yeah.
Who cares though? Like if the goal is to look as real
Go
as
off, queen.
possible, film something real then.
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
I like the Mad Max stuff where he was just and then Top Gun, all the real stunts and stuff. Looks great.
Well, I'm not. You think I'm a Lauren Boebert stan? I'm a Tom Cruise fanatic.
Oh yeah, I like Tom Cruise.
Scientology, am I right, guys?
Alejandro Reyes said, how much super chats to make you do something you hate? Open to everyone. Interpret that as you will. I mean, we already did that. Brett didn't want to bleach his hair, but he ended up liking it secretly.
That's because I had a doctor's appointment the next day, and multiple nurses were like, "I love your hair."
They loved it. So I don't know what you were complaining about, but I don't know what I would agree to do that I would hate. I mean, I said if we get 10. I'll watch all of the Harry Potter movies. I never watched the Harry Potter movies. I wasn't allowed.
So how do you know you hate them then, though?
I don't hate them.
Right. So that's not something you would hate.
Maybe.
Well, I would hate
right?
to go to the trouble of watching them. That's for sure.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
hate the movies.
There you go.
I would hate the experience of having to watch them all. Dumbledore said, "This guest is great. More. That is all."
Yes.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
The nerddom is on today. Depending.
Everyone's loved our guests. Every time that we bring a guest, they love him.
We're great at finding guests,
We're really
aren't we,
great at
Mary?
that.
We're great at this.
Frank on TV said, Man on Fire was not so much political, but based on a book of the same name written by A.J. Quinnell, who recreated 2 real-life events.
Right.
God, that movie rules.
It's fantastic.
Denzel, man. You can't beat
Yeah.
Denzel.
Sketch Therapy said Razor Fist is better than Andrew Tate.
Those are so different. The worlds are so vastly different that I don't know how you even compare the two.
Not,
I'm
I
Razor
don't even
Fist.
think they share some audience. I don't know.
I'm Razor Fist.
Not a lizard person said, if we keep super chatting, are you stuck here reading our super chats until the end of time?
Basically, yeah.
And then he said, Mwahaha.
I'm not.
Yes, that's what a hostage party is.
We're kind of in a proto hostage party right now.
I can break out, right?
It's preferred that you stay.
DD Mega Doo Doo 97 said, is it possible
I'm
to
just
mic
I'm
up?
making light. I'm not.
Yeah. He's like eventually he's like,
No.
I gotta go.
I mean, I do have a family,
Yeah.
so yeah.
We're
Yes.
keeping him here.
What he doesn't know is we're welded in.
Oh no!
Thank you.
We're in China. We got is that what really happens when the crisis party? We get teleported.
Yeah. We're in Shenzhen right now.
Oh my gosh.
It does sometimes feel like we're in some kind of capsule, like time stops or something like
Yeah,
that.
because we go downstairs and it's dark out.
Yeah.
We come upstairs and it's light out. We go downstairs and it's dark out.
Well, especially this time of year.
Yeah. He said, is it possible to mic up the crisis party sound? We appreciate the work you put into them, but can't hear them. Also, you should put some, what is this, MLG meme sound bits in the crisis parties.
I don't
know what that is.
I don't know what that is either. Oh, MCD?
Do you play the Turtles thing every time?
It changes weekly.
Oh, okay.
So I put a new,
it's been playing 4 times now or whatever.
that
Because
one
we got
is
4
crisis parties
Right.
today. So a crisis party is every time you get to $100,
Okay.
it goes off. There's a meter on the screen.
Okay.
You can see it's restarted. 'cause we
It's
I
just
see
got-
funny
I see
because
the
we
purple,
don't
yeah.
explain it. We just
Yeah.
expect everyone to know.
Sometimes I explain it.
X said Valinor. Oh yeah, not
yeah,
Valar.
That's what the
That's
Valar
place
live in
elves
Valinor.
go. Smellco said, get Chris Raygun on for game reviews whenever big titles are released. Would be neato.
That would
We have
be
never reviewed a game.
Nope.
Dumbledore said,
Do you play?
I'm a vintage gamer.
Okay.
I don't play anything newer than N64.
Okay.
Other than that's not. I have a PlayStation 2 for Aggressive Inline, which was a single the one rollerblading game they ever made. But for the most part, I play up to 64.
Okay.
Dumbledore said you can swap and go back. Michael Clark Duncan to Vincent
Yeah.
D'Onofrio as
It's
Kingpin.
Kingpin, yeah. But that was
MCD.
before 2013, right?
Yes, you can't do that now.
No.
Current year.
Yeah.
MCD was actually one of the best swaps. He fit the role. That is all.
I've only ever seen that Daredevil once.
Yeah, again, that was we talked about this kind of before stream. It's Will Smith is a race swap in Men in Black, but it's also Will Smith in that
Michael
time frame,
Clark
and it was
Duncan
before
is
the
Michael
agenda.
Clark. Yep.
Like, it's very obvious now that it's all done for agenda. They literally have it on all their websites saying that they're doing it.
Well, okay, how about Will Smith taking over as Deadshot or becoming Deadshot?
That's clearly agenda, because
like,
that's in the time of the agenda.
But
yeah.
I think that was because it's Will Smith.
Maybe.
I think it's because it's Will Smith. And the funny thing is, I love the actor who played him on Arrow. He was
Yeah,
so
he was good.
as Deadshot
Yeah.
on Arrow. But I think that then let's rephrase. Maybe it was because of agenda, but I think it's more accepted because it's Will Smith. If the person has a reputation, you're like, well, that makes a little bit of sense. But if you just bring in Joe Schmo 32, then people are like, who's this random guy?
Which is what they did for everyone else for the most part.
For most of them. Yeah.
Halls in the Kid said, if Tim's kids are Beanie Babies, would Brett's kids be Brettlings?
Yes. Also, why didn't they race swap
love
Katana? Like, no.
Well, because she's Asian.
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm being intentionally dense.
Someone clip that.
Yes.
Not a lizard person said, Mary, bring the hammer on Marxism. Hell yeah.
Yes.
And it's not the person you would expect to do it, since I'm like pro CCP. No,
Well,
I'm
would you
kidding.
bring the sickle for Marxism? That's the real question.
Right, yeah. Potatoes for Seamus said, Lauren Boebert just called. She wants Brett back.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
I thought this was a hostage
The hostage party is over.
We gotta
Lauren
go.
Boebert calls.
She calls.
Caper2X said, Leroy Jenkins, Brett, bye Mary, be good John. You're already saying goodbye.
Yep.
Porco Rosso Forever said, John, have you seen Triple R?
I have not. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't watched it. I mean, so I'll be honest, I don't watch a lot of this stuff anymore because I'm just really busy with my kids and everything. Yeah. And then the job. I did watch Top Gun. I made a point to like do that, but I didn't watch a lot of the blockbuster stuff that came out. I know that's on Netflix. It is something that I want to check out, but again, I have to my wife might not be interested in that, so I have to find time when to watch that without her.
One of my hot takes was out of all the movies, I liked the Batman least. I thought it was
the Batman was good until the third act, and then it became absolutely awful.
Yeah. I mean, even really, maybe that is why I don't like it so much, because the scene of him with the flare, I just rolled my eyes so hard I almost got a migraine.
I actively dislike that movie because it's an insult to anyone. It's an insult to the rest of the movie, because the first part of the movie, it looks like Batman's actually solving all of the riddles and everything. Yeah. By the third act, you find out that he hasn't solved anything. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's completely clueless. The Riddler has completely outsmarted him, and he doesn't know anything about the Riddler's plan until he goes and talks to him in prison when Riddler thinks he's an ally and just tells him what his plan is. And then they flood the city and try and have some kind of Noah's Ark reference, and it's we got to cleanse, we have to have a baptism and cleanse Gotham.
He also has he's an edgelord. He's an online edgelord with 500 followers that apparently all were willing to commit violence,
commit murder.
X said, which show has the best B-plot balance?
I can't give you one show, but I will tell you that there was an era when USA Network was doing their dramas like White Collar and Burn Notice.
Oh, Burn Notice was great.
Oh, man, we could talk for hours, my friend. Where what they would do is they would have a single episode theme that was just a case of the week type story, but they always used the B plot as a way of advancing the main story. In Burn Notice, it was Michael trying to figure out stuff about the organization that burned him. Also, one of the coolest things in history is they never named that organization. It was just the people that burned him.
It's the CIA.
No, it wasn't. It was not. It was people within the CIA, but they never gave the group a name.
Well, right.
Which was always really cool to me.
Right.
But then also in White Collar, those B plots were about figuring out who kidnapped Kate, and then eventually becomes about a stolen Nazi U-boat, which they have to find off the coast of New York City. And the idea is them trying to.
It's been so long since I've watched this.
But they did B plots throughout in season 3 and 4. It's trying to figure out his dad, his dad, he wants to figure out the story about his dad and in his past. So they always implemented it in a way where it would be just woven in, oftentimes intricately into the actual regular episode, which could also be viewed as a standalone episode.
Yeah, Stargate did that really well too. You had basically let's go explore some new planet every week, but within that you had the overarching plot. I guess the B plot is at least in the early seasons is the gold and the war against them, and obviously they did eventually get to that climax.
Yeah. See, so those are my choices for best B plot use.
Caper2X said escape from Washington, D.C. Blink, Mary.
Yeah, we're holding, like, Mary's just like, all this nerd talk today. Blink if, like, she's like being held hostage.
Alejandro Reyes said, remember the Punisher scene where he kills a bunch of criminals outside their cells as he was trapped?
Yeah.
Violent as hell, but sick.
Yeah, straight from the comics, too.
And another example of one of the best trailers, bit of trailer editing ever done to the Metallica song, where he's basically in a dream state with his wife, and then they wake him up to his wife being shot in the head.
Yeah.
And it's timed perfectly. It is one of the best uses of trailer editing for a television show I've ever seen.
I really like the scene where they literally like, this is like almost a one-to-one comic book adaptation where he goes through and like just wrecks them. You get the Punisher hallway jail fight instead of Daredevil.
Yep.
And that's actually from a comic. It's awesome.
And it felt more violent somehow than like there was more blood.
The only thing they changed is that it's Kingpin that he's going to instead of Jigsaw.
Yep.
In the it's Jigsaw in the comics.
And then they did Jigsaw with emotional scars. And,
The Punisher show was subpar.
Bobcat said, can you get Brett Cooper on the show?
Wouldn't that be nice?
And Caper2X said, bring Brett Cooper. We want to see Dasovic blush.
Would I blush? Would I blush if Brett Cooper was here? She's like a foot taller than me.
Is
I don't
she?
know who that is.
She's like 5'9".
Who is she?
Oh, that's not that
She's
much.
5. She's like she works for Daily Wire.
Okay.
She does the comic section.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah, we'd love to have her. Not a lizard person said party time.
It was
party time at the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yesh sent us 99 cents without a message. Thank you. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, I have some fingerling potatoes for you.
I don't even know what fingerling potatoes are.
Potato emojis.
They're like potatoes that are like your finger.
Oh.
Right?
I think so.
So French fries?
Basically.
Well, no.
They're like,
but yes.
Yeah, they're
now
like,
I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Is it going to be food cast soon? Everyone was talking about hot dogs earlier.
That was-
Kind of do want a hot dog.
Now I'm hungry.
See, we're getting back to the food.
Yep.
That's why people watch the food stuff.
Alejandro Reyes said there was a Men in Black before Will Smith.
Right?
Was there?
Yeah, it's the comic.
The comic.
The Malibu comics.
yeah.
That's why he's race swapped. In the Malibu comics, the agent is white.
And here's the thing. In 1997, there was nobody
Right.
hotter than Will Smith.
Right.
Like, literally. He was in Wild Wild West.
Yeah. No, Independence Day was like, everyone saw that.
There was a period in time where like 3 years in a row, he had a movie that came out my birthday.
Yeah.
On,
Oh, wow.
on July 2nd. So it's like
That's funny.
I have like a connection with
Because
Will
of the
Smith.
4th of July
Yeah.
weekend, of
Yep.
course.
Well,
So-
we were talking about how, like, I don't remember the time when Will Smith was cool.
Yeah, that's
Like-
when
I
he was
do.
cool. He was that cool.
Because my first consciousness of Will Smith was his cringy part in the YouTube Rewind in, like, 2018?
Yeah.
Oh,
He
you
was
never
like,
watched Fresh
That's
Prince?
hot. I mean, I did, but it just wasn't part of my childhood.
Okay.
You know? Perturbed Alpaca said, did someone say hostages?
We are being held hostage.
We are.
So it's going
I don't
good.
know if we're ever going to get to Hogwarts Legacy.
I think we'll just
Probably gonna
we'll
save that
it.
for
We'll save
another
it.
time.
Yeah, we'll save it.
Alejandro Reyes said, Brett looks normal without headphones.
Yes.
Were you expecting him to look deformed?
like my ears just go out?
Were you
really
expecting
far?
us not to have ears?
Yeah.
Because you've never seen our ears? We have ears. The Last of My Kind said, one of the best lines from The Simpsons is Flanders reading Harry Potter to his kids, and Harry Potter and his friends all went to hell for witchcraft and then burns the book. That was my parents.
Have you ever seen the scene from King of the Hill where he's like he's like fixing a door handle or something like that, and he's like using WD-40 and the WD-40 like gets stuck, so he then pulls out a smaller thing of WD-40 to like undo the gunk on the WD-40. It's like the greatest thing I've ever seen.
I think
in my
I've
life.
seen that in like a GIF format.
Yeah.
I've never watched King of the
It's
Hill. but
my
yeah.
mom loved King of the Hill. That was always maybe she didn't love it as much as like she was always watching TV at that time of day.
Okay.
But loved King of the Hill. Plus like prescient times, like if you really think about who all those characters were, incredible.
Wait, why?
Just there's a conspiracy theorist, and it's Texans. They're Texans, and it's you'd have to watch it.
Before Texas was gentrified,
Yeah,
maybe?
you have to watch it.
High Voltage 75 said, don't forget, you're here forever.
Forever.
No, we're not.
We will
We're
get
going
outta
to get
here.
through these super chats. X, I'm Okay.
Which platform has the
Okay,
best?
he said which platform has best content for a nerd?
Uh,
Do you mean like a
what are we
streaming
talking- what's the
platform? I'm
question?
not sure what you mean.
I mean, if you like DC, it would be HBO Max to watch the DC animated stuff. But in general, I guess the idea would be like which one has the most anime. Like, that's what I'm guessing they want because I don't watch anime, but they
Well,
love.
maybe not.
I believe.
Has the most and has the best is a way
Yeah.
different question.
So then you want to get like what? What are the big streaming platforms that actually have content for them?
I mean, Netflix.
Yeah.
Netflix has a lot of anime. It's got a lot of animation. It's got Stranger Things live action.
Yeah.
It's got that. I actually like that Will Smith movie that they made.
Bright.
Bright. Yeah,
Bright,
I thought that was actually really. I like that.
That's the one I was talking about that has the.
Except the orcs are a little cringe, so they make them like
Yeah.
clearly stereotyped. But
That's the one that has. They used us. You were talking earlier about crappy like pop country. There's a pop country artist named Sam Hunt, and they
Sam Hunt.
actually had him do a version of the song "This Land Is Your Land."
he's
for
not
that
a
movie.
country artist.
He's a pop country.
Yeah, they're always playing him. I don't like his stuff.
Yeah.
Not a fan. I changed the channel.
Off with him.
Bobcat, I'm not reading that. Perturbed Alpaca said, Brett, go eat 2 chili cheese burritos for me, please.
I am hungry.
It's a regional thing. You wouldn't get it.
Yeah, you wouldn't get
If
it.
you know, you know.
What, chili cheese burritos? Sounds good.
Some places don't have them. Like Florida, I don't know if it's still true.
Not
but
that
back
they
in the
don't
day,
have them, but Taco Bell doesn't
Taco
have
Bell
them
does not have chili
specifically.
cheese
Oh.
burritos. It's regional.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, chili cheese burrito. Like, why would you do that? Why would you put chili cheese in a burrito?
Oh, we're gonna fight.
Put it on a hot dog.
No, look. So I had friends that didn't have them. So me and my other friends from Minnesota would send pictures to our friends from Florida of chili cheese burritos with middle fingers, like, haha, you guys don't have them anymore.
X said, Mary, what nerddom do you know most about? Discuss.
Any?
Earlier this week, we were talking about this because, like Hannah Claire was saying, it's an occupational hazard
Yeah.
to know things about these franchises. But I'm just
Wait, why?
because we talk about them.
Why is that a hazard?
No, I mean not as like a bad thing, but you know, what I
Oh,
mean. Like
okay.
occupational hazard.
You run into it.
You talk
run
about these
into
things.
it.
Okay, yeah.
But I guess that would be Lord of the Rings because I read those books as a kid.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched the movies.
Yeah, you knew.
Oh, you haven't
I
watched the
read
movies?
the books, but I haven't watched
You
the movies.
you knew a lot about Lord of the Rings, so I'd say that would be the best answer. Like you knew a lot about
Yeah.
About Tolkien.
Did you watch the Hobbit movies?
I watched one of the Hobbit movies. I think the one that was in 2012.
Okay,
What was that?
I don't know.
I didn't like it that much.
Three of
When
them.
I said
too many.
any to Mary, I just meant like she doesn't like seem to want to like be into this type of media. She's got other stuff that she likes.
I mean, I definitely want to be well versed in stuff just because we talk about it, but I'm most set out to definitely like watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and I guess the Hobbit movies less so.
you
but
have to watch
I
the
should.
extended editions. Don't watch the extended editions.
You sure?
Positive, 100%,
Alright.
way better
All right.
because it actually has more of the stuff from the book.
Well,
Yeah.
were there cartoons you liked growing up or anything like that? Like I feel like that would have been like we've talked about stuff like that, right?
Does that count as like nerd stuff?
Depends
I
on
don't
what the
know.
cartoon is.
Yeah.
Most of like the Cartoon Network stuff, the Nickelodeon stuff, like
Like Johnny Bravo.
yeah, Johnny Bravo, Grim Adventures,
The Fairly Odd Parents.
yeah, those
Right,
all
right.
of those types of
See,
cartoons.
that's stuff I don't know I don't know literally
That's
anything
stuff
about any of
towards
that.
that's stuff that came out like after we moved on.
Yeah.
Moved
We are
on.
from different generations.
Yeah, Alejandro Reyes said, Brett, are you a small person? The actual word for them is censored on here.
He
He is not.
I am 5'5".
He's
so
just a
I'm-
short king.
Yes.
They censor that word?
They censor a lot of words. Yeah,
Wow.
you can't even say like the Abrahamic
That's
religion, which is not Christianity or Judaism.
Like that word is literally a type of race car. Like
Really?
they just did the Chili Bowl Nationals like last month, and they raced those cars.
Perturbed Alpaca said, it really is kind of alarming seeing y'all's ears. Really? I mean, we have our ears out on our social media, right? So, I don't know. Maybe it would be more alarming if we didn't have them. And then he also said, quick, if we super chat Leviticus, they'll never leave. Wait, what?
The book of Leviticus.
The whole thing?
Yeah, I think that's
Just-
what they're suggesting. Yeah.
Titanic Panic
Talk about
said,
that's a dry book.
pop culture movie reference test. Shoot the hostage. What film?
What does that mean?
That's
Like
a quote.
just the quote. Shoot the hostage.
Oh, we're supposed to know what the quote is.
Why are you like actually distressed?
I don't know. I'm terrible with that stuff. I'm not very good at quotes.
Well, we don't know it, so let us know.
Yeah.
Next super chat. Potatoes for Seamus said, Brett, I bet you would love some state fair food.
I love the Minnesota State Fair. Yeah,
State fair food is the best.
It is. It's literally.
always
It's
is.
why you love.
It's all fried.
Oh, it's from Speed.
Dude,
I was
Jeff
gonna say-
Daniels. Brett.
I was gonna say Speed
Should
or
you have
like
known this?
Swordfish with Travolta.
you should have guessed. I don't know.
Well,
Swordfish.
not Speed, but I was gonna say
Yeah.
Swordfish.
Hobbit said, somebody said hostage party. Yes, they've said hostage party.
Yes.
We have said it. X said, which superhero story best uses religious themes?
Which superhero story?
Or character.
In comics, or
No elaboration.
Spectre.
Just in general.
is literally an angel.
So not Constantine.
No, Spectre.
Do you see that they're making new Constantine too? They're gonna be.
Yeah, the Keanu Reeves version.
Yeah.
Not whatever. I
Matt
think
Ryan.
not with Matt Ryan or whatever
I
J.J.
like the
Abrams
Matt
was supposed to be doing. Because there was rumors that he was doing Constantine in like Justice League Dark, but I think people are shying away from Abrams, but he's literally just letting all his acolytes take over.
Yep.
So it's same thing.
All right, let's keep going. We're almost done.
We could make it.
Let's go.
Caper2X said, stop fixating on her height. Brett Cooper is hot.
She is. She's a beautiful woman.
Hobbit said, been making keto fritters, delicious and healthy.
Yum.
Sounds good.
Interesting. 1,000 Foot Deep End said, I tried a chili cheese burrito for the first time yesterday. Not bad. And yes, extended Lord of the Rings is a must. Hashtag crisis, hostage crisis.
Yep.
Is it a hostage party or a hostage crisis?
Well, we're getting dangerously
teetering
close.
between
We're
the
getting close.
It's very rare that we go this late. They
We're-
must really like you,
Yes.
John.
We're-
The last of my
Appreciate that.
kind said, Mary, talk all about Big Ed and 90 Day Fiance.
There you go.
We won't get into that right now, but I'm in the middle of some 90 Day at the moment.
I will
actually.
say, like, I watched Uncle Buck last night. It was like on cable, and they were like AMC was doing like a John Hughes marathon. It looked like because 16 Candles came on afterwards. But like, where are the movies like that anymore? Like,
yeah, there's no market for them.
There is. I think there is. That's why you get them on the reruns all the time because people are still watching them.
But those getting made will never go in theaters anymore. Those will always go to streaming.
it's because of the like how they do the budgets now.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
But for those movies,
I think you could have a hit with. I think you could have a hit with like a really good rom com or coming of age story like Hughes used to make.
I don't like the rom-coms like you can't even do it anymore because it becomes about gender issues and
Well,
like there's no allowance.
We
for
just
that
did a
stuff anymore.
review on like some Netflix show called I guess it's with Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill.
I forgot what it's
And
called.
Our reviewer said it was awful.
Yeah.
Because
Oh,
it was
yeah.
all just
People were just talking about that
it was
today.
all just
What
like
was it again?
identity politics. Because it was like a Jewish family and a
Yeah.
Muslim family, I guess, and the dynamics between their kids like getting married.
Let's keep going.
You people, I think is what
Oh,
it's called.
yeah.
Yeah.
You people.
That's, even the title is so like heavy-handed and preachy.
Oh,
sounding.
yeah.
X said to the chat, questions are better for hostages. They're giving each other tips on how to hold us hostage. Is this the point we've gotten to? Hobbit said, if you haven't listened to the band Sabaton,
Never heard of them.
They're a
I have
heavy
heard
metal
of them.
band.
Okay.
yeah.
I
Last of
think
my
Razor
kind.
Fist's a huge fan.
Last of my kind said, Brett B. Girl, Brett's short king, hashtag aim high.
I'll work on it. Thank you.
Porco Rosso Forever said, the Crisis Party challenge should be to get Mary to watch and review Lord of the Rings. Tomorrow is Friday.
Don't you start with the freaking gaslighting again.
It is Friday today.
Yes.
We
Right.
know. Well, if we get to like 10, then I'll do either Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings. I'd rather watch Lord of the Rings, but if it's something you want me to hate, then maybe I'll do it the Harry Potter challenge.
Harry Potter's actually has a lot of like connection with Tolkien. I think Rowling like was
Okay.
heavily inspired by her and a lot of her themes. Maybe not so much like the Wizarding School and stuff like that, but there's
Yeah.
the stuff with Voldemort is definitely inspired, I think, by Sauron.
Okay. Potatoes for Seamus said, chat, do you want them to stay on... Wait, they must abide?
Well, they've done a pretty good job of this. Plus, there's we're getting close to the end here, guys.
We're getting close there. Ricardo Gonzalez sent $2 without a message.
Thank you.
X said, how many of us have you started to recognize?
Recognize
Many.
what?
They people who super chat.
We're a family
on
here.
the daily,
a
weekly
very
basis.
weird
I even
family.
remember people
Do they know?
they drop
that-
off for a while and come back.
Do they know the name? Their name? Like what you call them? Is that like an inside thing?
Like
Should I even be
just
bringing
their
this up?
like by their screen names. I kind of like
No,
people
like
who have
the
like a
general
clever
name
one.
that you call your chat.
Oh,
The crisis actors.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
They know
Yeah.
that? Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah, returning crisis actors are our favorites. X said, 1,000 Foot Deep End said, I believe Halls and the Kid coined the term hostage crisis.
She did. She also designed all our logos.
She's a clever lady. Francisco Sanchez Jr. said, imagine thinking you guys can leave. Hostage party turning into a hashtag hostage weekend.
Dude.
Oh no. Okay. Shimmy Shelley said, this is the chat that never ends.
Yes, it goes on and on, my friends.
And High Voltage 75 said, 5 parties. Brett wears a tank top next show. Show off the guns for the females in chat. No homo.
We're
Why would you
literally-
need to say
well,
no homo?
we're $4. We're $7 away from a 6 hostage party. So I don't know, guys.
We're finally through though.
We got through it, ladies and gentlemen. Unless
There was
somebody,
a couple you skipped though. 'Cause you
was
didn't want to say them.
Were those?
Wait. Oh no, I'm not gonna read any that I skipped in the interest of keeping this show tasteful and kid friendly.
Kid friendly, but if you want to get the 6 crisis party, I guess they could, but they don't have to. But we are gonna go. I do want people to get the 5th one because that one day they had the chat it didn't go through. Oh come on, come on.
Someone's
ahead.
on my team with the hot dogs.
All right, Halls and the Kid said, Brett, calm down. Breathe, Brett, breathe. Take a seat.
There's one more
Potatoes for
above
Seamus
that,
said, don't leave us.
Yep. Yes.
We're leaving though.
X says we're so close to the next party. Yeah, but the thing is, guys, even if we get it, oh man, there's one more from Almsy.
Almsy said, I'm in for the hostage parties.
Well, eventually we're gonna put a cap on this. We're 60.
Let's just start our outros
Yes.
and we'll end with some super chats.
All right. John, thank you so much, my friend, for coming today. Let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, so I have a website called bountyandcomics.com where we cover all the entertainment stuff. You can usually find my writing there. I write quite often there. Yep. We also have a YouTube channel, Bounty into Comics. You can go over there, hit subscribe. We do a live stream every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time called the Black Pill Stream, where we will black pill you on entertainment. It's not going to get any better anytime soon.
Dude, this is my kind of stream.
Yeah.
I need to get in on this.
That's not that's obviously not my outlook on life, but I don't think entertainment's getting any better anytime soon. It's just going to get worse, and there's evidence piles up showing that. And then we also run a sports site. We launched it in June. It's called Bounding into Sports, so we kind of cover some sports stuff over there as well, and it's kind of covering a culture war angle.
Awesome. All right, Mary, just read them
got
quick.
Some super chats.
Read
All
them quick.
Michael Leo sent us $10 without a message.
Thank you, Michael.
Porco Rosso Forever said, shout out to all the truckers in the chat.
Thank you, Porco.
I don't know if there are a lot, but shout out. Ricardo Gonzalez sent us $5 without a message. Thank you. Hobbit said, how does chat torture PCC? Money. Lots of money. Hobbit, Caper2X said, support MIA1 for Ukraine.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know either.
Do you know what that means?
I have no idea.
I don't know.
Lane
Mia
said,
I don't know.
my kind of topic, wish I could have watched
Missing in
live.
action?
Have a good weekend, guys.
All right. Mary, why don't you let everyone know where they can find you?
I will. You can find pictures of me on Instagram at Mary Archived, and you also have the option to send me hate on Twitter. That is also Mary Archived. And for our next meme review, you should go to the Pop Culture Crisis subreddit, submit any of your memes or out of context clips or edits that you would like us to react to, and we will pick the ones we like best. Thank you for this last Crisis Party.
Technically, we owe them a second one.
I think the shooter on that side is being bogged down. There it goes.
Yes, guys. One more from X says you owe us 2 plays of the Crisis Party PTSD Blitz. I did play. One of them played right there. Now we got one more from Caper2X that says Abrams tanks, but it says Tamps.
Oh,
I
maybe
don't know
that's
what
he-
that means.
That's the reference to the tanks going to Ukraine.
Oh, okay. See,
think.
now that's what they need to
Saw.
call it every time J.J. Abrams movies fail. Abrams tanks.
Yeah, there you go.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Am I right, guys? Tell me
well.
I'm right. Okay.
We are not going to venture into geopolitics. on
No,
this
we
show.
will not. Okay, one more from Hobbit. Sends $5. Says play the noise.
10 Will Smith. Sorry.
And then we've got one from Carnell that says 10 crisis parties, and Mary has to watch 10 Will Smith movies picked by the chat. That's hot.
That wouldn't be too bad.
I've seen Independence Day.
He's got some good ones from the 90s. If they pick, if they want to
Seen Men
torture
in
you.
Black.
If they want to torture you, they'll pick more of his more recent ones that are more like they have like the more of like messaging.
Emancipation.
Yeah.
Or what was the concussion
not.
one? The one about concussions. Guys,
The tennis one
thank
with Serena.
you. Yeah. King Richard, whatever.
Richard, yeah.
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Before you go today, now that you have officially held us hostage, would you please like this video? Leave a comment on it in the actual chat, like underneath when you're done and we've closed up the live chat. Subscribe to the channel if you have not subscribed to Pop Culture Crisis already. Leave comments on other videos too. One more from Porco Rosso Forever says, Brett with the next Crisis Party sound. You got to go soft and sexy. I'm not doing that. We won't be doing that.
That'd be a little
friend.
creepy.
Just a little bit. Yes, music says enemy of the
I don't
state.
know. That could be fun.
Make it uncomfortable for people.
Just
in a
Kenny
different way.
G playing.
Party.
Oh yeah. If you want to follow me, guys, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Brett Dasovic. For the show, we have this crazy experience every Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That is at noon Pacific. If you'd like to listen rather than watch, there are people that do that, probably think we sound insane, right? Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. We have one more from Caper2X that says, but we have speakers in the tanks, a la Kelly's Heroes? Question mark?
That's an old show, Kelly's Heroes.
Okay. Yeah. It's like Hogan's Heroes, but for broads,
yeah.
Right? All right. If you want to follow the show on social media, we are on Twitter at @popculture_show, Facebook and TikTok at Pop Culture Crisis, and on Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Mark Rice says, sends one more $1 chat with no message. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. We will be back with another episode on Monday. We'll see you then, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one.